Kind of amazing watching a key liberal narrative just collapse in real time. Why it is that the left chooses as its heroes and its martyrs the worst people in this country. Coming up on the Thursday edition of the Dan O'Donnell Show. It felt positively balmy today as we got up to 16 degrees. Don't worry, though. More snow, more ice is on its way to Wisconsin. Not that kind of ice, despite the persistent rumors by lefties who have no idea what they're talking about. We will cover all of it coming up on this edition of the Dan O'Donnell Show. Here are the top stories we're following this hour. President Trump holding his very first cabinet meeting of the new year. The Senate is failing to pass, a procedural vote that would avert a partial government shutdown at midnight tonight. Democrats, including Wisconsin's Tammy Baldwin, want to shut the government down to prevent funding for the Department of Homeland Security, of course, the department that houses ICE. The president made a major announcement during that cabinet meeting earlier today.
I just spoke to the president of Venezuela, informed her that we're going to be opening up all commercial airspace over Venezuela. American citizens will be very shortly able to go to Venezuela.
That's fantastic news for anybody who's wanted to visit beautiful, sunny Caracas. I kid, of course, but Caracas, Venezuela is actually a fantastic city, I'm heard, that has been decimated by more than 2 decades of socialist rule, as pretty much every city that has ever been run by socialists has been. Trump today also warned Iran to come to the negotiating table or face a stronger U.S. military response in the region. This, as a massive American naval presence is bearing down on Tehran. Here at home, a couple of exclusive stories coming up later this hour here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. Why was there a swastika at one of the Ice Out high school protests this week? And why is it that a local middle school is actively encouraging activism amongst its students? Not just activism, but anti-ICE insanity. Both of those stories coming up later today. Coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, the Daily Trump Date, your look at President Trump's Washington. We'll name the unhinged liberal of the day. Unfortunately, one of the best TV actors of the last decade and a half reveals himself to be a complete and utter left-wing nut job, unsung hero of the day, and much, much more, all coming up on the Dan O'Donnell Show. If you want to join us, 414-799-1130 is our admitknows.com talk and text line. Email me anytime you want, day or night, rain or shine, DOD@iHeartMedia.com, at Dan O'Donnell Show on X, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube. We are streaming on all of those. Watch the show via the Dan O'Cam, and please do subscribe to the Dan O'Donnell Show podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to podcasts. Nationwide keyword this hour in the cold hard cash contest is bank. BANK, bank. You have got until 3:55 to go to our website and enter the keyword bank. If your entry is picked at random, you will take $1,000 to the bank, courtesy of our corporate overlords at iHeartRadio. All week long, Democrats have been falling over each other to lionize Alex Pretti, the 37-year-old saintly VA nurse who was just minding his own business when he was assaulted and brutally murdered by ICE agents. At least that is what Democrats like Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas herself, have wanted you to believe.
Caring for people was at the core of who he was. He was incapable of causing harm. Alex carried patience, compassion, and calm as a steady light within him. Even at the very end, that light was there. I recognized his familiar stillness and signature calm composure.
Yes, if there's anything we know about Alex Pretti, especially in his last moments, he was very still and very calm. That maudlin pap on the floor of the Senate actually paled in comparison to left-winger Ana Navarro on CNN 2 nights ago.
They killed the wrong guy, right? Because this is like the perfect guy. Alex Pretti is the guy you would want to date your daughter. The guy you would want your son to grow up to be a decent human being who was serving humanity, serving sick veterans, who is, there is nothing that has been said about that man that isn't wonderful. And so they can't malign him. They can't malign him because we have the videos.
We do. We do have the videos, including this new one from January 13th of Alex Pretti spitting on an ICE agent's car and then kicking it, taking out a rear tail light. This prompted an ICE agent to jump out to try to take Pretti into custody. He got so violent while armed that it actually took 5 different law enforcement agents to take him down. Now, this was about a week and a half before another confrontation in which Pretti was shot and killed. Now, in this audio that we're about to play, I do hope that I was able to bleep out all of the swear words. If not, it's very chaotic. You can see horns. You can hear their stupid whistles. I apologize, and I hope the FCC will forgive me. What you will hear is Alex Pretti screaming, "Assault me, mother bleeper. Assault me." Perfect guy. On Monday night at the Green Bay School District board meeting, board president James Lyerly actually paused for a moment to honor the life of Alex Pretti, who was a graduate some years ago of Green Bay Preble High School.
Before we reconvene into open session, we're going to take a pause for a moment of silence to remember and honor the life of Alex Pretti, a 2006 graduate of Preble High School. Alex was described by his family and friends as conscientious, civic-minded individual who cared for veterans, his community, and the people around him. His life reflects the values that we strive to instill in our students: compassion, service, and responsibility to others.
This afternoon, I reached out to Mr. Lyerly to ask him, in the wake of the video of Alex Pretti being incredibly unhinged and violently assaulting law enforcement officers. Yes, an attack on a law enforcement officer's car is, in fact, obstruction of federal process. It is a federal crime. Alex Pretti screaming at, spitting on, and then violently resisting arrest. All of these are federal crimes. I actually reached out to Mr. Lyerly and asked him, hey, I attached the video, so he couldn't say, hey, I didn't see this video. I asked him, do you stand by your statement that Alex Pretti reflected the values that you want to see in your Green Bay students? This is the president of the school board in Green Bay. Now, before you say, well, Dan, he said this days before this new video surfaced, and it should be noted that this was January 13th, not January 24th, the day that Pretti was shot and killed Saturday morning by Border Patrol agents. These weren't even ICE agents. Now, why this is relevant is it absolutely destroys the narrative that the left always tries to build up, that people who are objectively not good are in fact saints. And the people who are just sort of trying to keep the peace, law enforcement officers who do have a lawful authority to enforce border law and enforce immigration law, they are in fact Nazis. I mean, we put together an entire montage of Democrats calling ICE agents Nazis, comparing them to slave catchers. On Sunday, the day after Pretti was shot, you even had the governor of Minnesota, the buffoon Tim Walz, coming out and saying, yeah, we all read that book by Anne Frank. Someday, a little girl is going to write the Diary of Minneapolis about what's going on today. Even the Holocaust Museum got involved and said, hey, that is like way out of whack. Not to be outdone, you had Stephen Colbert on his little watched show this week say, look, you can't compare ICE agents to the SS. The Nazis at least showed their faces, heavily implying that ICE agents are worse than the Nazis. This is where we're at. And people like Alex Pretti, who, let's face it, along with Renee Good, had a little bit of a screw loose and were very obviously going out to try to confront federal agents because they were hearing this rhetoric. They were internalizing it. They believed it with every fiber of their being. And they were trying to fight Nazis. They were trying to hunt down evil. They were standing on the side of the ultimate good against what they perceived to be and what they have been propagandized to believe was the ultimate evil. This is why this ongoing rhetoric, Trump is Hitler, ICE is Nazis, is so incredibly dangerous. It doesn't just put President Trump and Charlie Kirk and everybody else who is even a little bit right of center in the literal crosshairs of deranged would-be assassins or people who have no compunction about being extremely violent. It also rallies people who, like Alex Pretti, even though he went very armed into confrontations with ICE agents on at least 2 separate occasions, including the one in which he was shot to death, who may or may not have any intention of being incredibly violent, they are still whipped into a frenzy, and they make it utterly impossible for laws to be enforced here in this country. And what's the most dangerous aspect of this is that this isn't a bug of Democrat rhetoric and Democrat political strategy. It is a feature. This is why you're seeing these training sessions go on all across the country, including here in Wisconsin. In fact, I dare say here on the Dan O'Donnell Show, we were among the first in early December to report on what was going on, that these people are actually getting trained to go and not just observe ICE, not just verify that ICE agents are in an area conducting deportation operations. The entire point is what we're seeing in Minneapolis, to go and to confront and to make it impossible for ICE agents to do their job. In fact, the very fact of someone going to verify that ICE is there and to warn the potential subjects of a valid deportation operation who have valid, yes, administrative or judicial warrants in order to do what they do, in order to take these people into custody, that is obstruction of federal process. That is a very, very serious crime, as now former Milwaukee County Circuit Court Judge Hannah Dugan discovered in the harshest possible way with a federal criminal conviction. This is why also I am making it my personal mission to try to make sure that there aren't these sort of violent confrontations here in Wisconsin. And let's be abundantly clear here. There is no evidence, not at all, that ICE is going to do massive operations, the likes of which we're seeing in Minneapolis. Nonetheless, I don't want any of these sorts of violent confrontations. I don't want the sort of panic in the streets that is leading to these confrontations. And that's why I am repeatedly imploring my listeners to do what they can and to clog the ICE verifier hotline that the radical leftist socialist group Voces de la Frontera has put out, to make sure that we are reporting where we have seen ICE. Like, maybe we've seen ICE at every Taco Bell from here to Eau Claire. Call Voces de la Frontera. Get some ICE verifiers out on the street make sure they are going to the farthest flung places in Wisconsin. All you need to do is call them out there. 1-800-427-0213. It's just that easy. Now, I would hate for there to be some sort of confrontation. So I want to make sure that these highly trained people are getting out there to make sure that ICE is, say, I don't know, where can we put them? Where do you think? In fact, I would love if you could text some of the most random places in Wisconsin. Oh. How about this? House on the Rock. House on the Rock. In the weird doll room at the House on the Rock, I think I saw a whole bunch of ICE agents. We should probably get some verifiers there. Get all the way out to House on the Rock. You know, I actually, while we're out that way, I think I saw some ICE agents at the very top of the plunge at Noah's Ark. Yeah, I know it's close. It's weird. It's weird that ICE would be conducting operations at the very top of a tall water slide. But hey, I mean, we need to verify that they're actually there. So if you could call 1-800-427-0213, I think it would go a long way to make sure that we are getting trained professional people out there. Big exclusive story coming up next.
At Ross Dental, your journey to smiling like you just don't care because you don't isn't paved with anxiety, discomfort, or judgment. People should be judged by the content of their character, not the straightness, color, or condition of their smile. No matter how much restoration required, Ross Dental's gentle, caring staff won't judge you. Ross Dental does cutting-edge laser dentistry, maximizing patient comfort and health. Laser removal of tooth decay requires 0 shots. For almost everyone, it's painless. Procedures are faster. No numb mouth, 0 shots. Smile like you just don't care, because you don't. RossDentalNewBerlin.com. Lasers don't churn up infected tissue. They kill bacteria, fungus, even viruses, dramatically reducing infection-spreading bioaerosols old technology drills cause. Laser dentistry is ideal for cavity treatment, and less collateral tissue damage treating gum disease or canker sores speeds up recovery. Ross Dental's convenient payment options, low, even no radiation imagery, and sedation dentistry eliminate every reason to neglect your teeth. Schedule your cleaning or cosmetic assessment today, and soon you'll smile like you just don't care, because you don't. RossDentalNewBerlin.com.
Meticulous discovery, acquisition, documentation, and preservation of evidence by Warshawski's nationally certified legal investigator makes your case a high-risk monetary proposition for risk-adverse insurance companies. Injured? It is about the money. Warshawski.
Let me share Brian's story. He's in Alabama, and he wrote in, he said, Glenn, after taking Relief Factor for just 3 weeks, at least 90% of my pain is gone. My pain had started to limit me at work and at home, and I am amazed at the relief that I have gotten. Those are Brian's own words, and they speak volumes about what Relief Factor can do. And I've seen that kind of transformation in myself, and hearing Brian's experience reinforces why I take endorsing Relief Factor so seriously. Before I started taking Relief Factor myself, I was losing hope that I could ever have a normal life again. My hands were in so much pain. It's created by doctors, 100% drug-free product using 4 key ingredients. It supports the body's natural inflammatory response. Hundreds of thousands of people have ordered Relief Factor, and like Brian and me, over 2/3 of these people go on to order more month after month. So don't wait. If you're dealing with pain, launch your 3-week quick start and see what Relief Factor can do for you. Call 800-4RELIEF or go to relieffactor.com. Don't wait anymore. Feel what it's like to be out of pain. 1-800-4RELIEF.
Make News Talk 1130 WISN your #1 preset on our free iHeartRadio app. Powered by Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
Injured?
Remember, one call, that's all.
Critical events drive critical times, and these are the times to learn critical lessons. Recent events should teach us that the struggle for liberty is ongoing, and forces that are misguided or sinister stand at the ready to take our liberties away. At News Talk 1130 WISN, we are dedicated to identifying the risks to our freedoms as they arise, and to alert you to those risks, valuing our liberties and our rights. This is News Talk 1130 WISN.
If I don't see you, remind me of my eyes cross you. Keep in mind I'm not here, I'm in a different zone.
Talk radio redefined.
Sorry if my words hurt you. wish I knew the time to lie to you, even when I'm not here from a different world.
You're listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show.
Welcome back to it. This is Alex Pretti, January 13th. It is confirmed to be him. His family did confirm, yes, this is Alex. And now we know, by the way, why his parents were telling him, okay, go protest, but please don't get into any confrontations with ICE agents. It's because he was getting into confrontations with ICE agents. In fact, there is reporting that he actually quit his job as a VA nurse in order to basically try to impede and obstruct and get in the faces of ICE agents full time. That's exactly what he was doing on January 13th, about 11 days before he was killed in yet another confrontation with ICE agents. That pop you heard, that bang, that was him kicking the tail light out of a car. Now, the BBC, citing an independent news agency which found the footage, posted another video angle of that. Now, because this news agency has the same initials, TNM, as an AI company, would you believe, liberals believe, that this is actually an AI video? TNM stands for the News Movement. There is another AI company called TNM. It's not that. TNM is the News Movement. In fact, the narrator of the BBC video even says, the News Movement brought us this video of Alex Pretti attacking this cop car. And you can see he kicks out the tail light clear as a bell. He is then an agent gets out of the vehicle and tackles him to the ground, and he is taken into custody. Now, a lot of people are asking, hey, why didn't he face serious criminal charges? Why was he still out on the street? If he wasn't, if he was locked up where he should have been for committing any number of federal crimes, he wouldn't have been on the streets. He would have been able to be killed. His life might have actually been spared. Now, another thing that people are saying about this newly released video is that it's somehow not relevant that 11 days earlier, him getting very violent while armed, and it should be made abundantly clear, he had his gun, that Sig Sauer, which may or may not have gone off accidentally during the confrontation with ICE agents, with Border Patrol agents that led to his death. It should be noted that this is very germane to the confrontation that ended his life. It indicates that he was not merely there. He was not merely on the scene to what was the initial story? Well, he was just helping a woman who had fallen down, and he was just a bystander. He just happened to be there, and he's a nurse, you see. He's a VA nurse. This is what he does. He's such a good man that he had to help people, and that's exactly what he was doing. He was helping people who were being victimized by those wicked ICE agents. No, he was there because he was there following agents for days and what we're now knowing to be weeks, what has been revealed to be weeks and weeks and weeks. He was one of these ICE verifiers who is not merely peacefully taking down license plates and not merely taking a look at what ICE is doing and reporting back and just blowing their stupid little whistles. They are actually trying their best to stop ICE deportation raids. This, by the way, is why all of our listeners need to take some time to call 1-800-427-0213 to make sure that we get some of these highly trained, highly specialized ICE verifiers out to some of the most random locations in Wisconsin, just to make sure that there aren't any ICE agents where, you know, they could be arresting people, they could be brutalizing demonizing people. After all, according to Stephen Colbert, they're every bit as bad as the Nazis, if not worse, because the Nazis didn't even cover up their faces. So we want to make sure that all of these left-wing radicals are going out to verify ICE's presence. And that's why you need to call 1-800-427-0213. If Pretti, who was, again, armed, was showing up at locations with the express purpose of assaulting law enforcement agents or the express purpose of interfering with law enforcement deployment and action, then it can be reasonably assumed that he was also there on the day he was killed, Saturday morning, to obstruct ICE. Now, again, why he was there doesn't necessarily matter in terms of the calculus of whether or not the shooting of him was justified. All that matters, the only standard that matters, remember, according to federal law, according to established Supreme Court precedent, and according to every accepted law enforcement standard of use of force, the only standard that matters is, did a reasonable agent, any reasonable law enforcement officer put in that exact same scenario, would he have a reasonable belief that there would be imminent death or substantial bodily harm if he did not use deadly force? If a reasonable officer could conclude that death or substantial bodily harm was imminent, then deadly force is authorized. Rather obviously, there was a gun that was established by another officer when Pretti was being taken down and arrested, yelling, "Gun, gun, gun." There was some gunshot that went off, and then Pretti was shot 10 times. Pretti can be seen on his arrest video appearing to lunge into his pants towards his holster or towards his waistband, where an officer who has already, remember, established that a gun is on this subject, or at least at one point was on the subject. Whether or not the gun is still on the subject, the officer has a millisecond to determine whether or not it is reasonable to conclude that that guy is going for a gun. And if he gets it, every officer on the scene could be dead in the next 3 or 4 milliseconds. He's got to act. What the prior arrest video of Pretti proves is that he was going and intending to cause harm to law enforcement agents. I don't know any innocent bystanders who get so worked up that they spit on a law enforcement officer's car and then kick out a taillight. Apparently, the 5 agents it took to take down Alex Pretti broke his rib. Now, this also potentially establishes a motive for him to continue to go out and to try to stalk and harass officers, that he's so ticked off that they got him last time that he is now bound and determined to get them this time. That would be backed up by the fact that not only was he carrying a Sig Sauer, he also had a whole ton of extra ammunition. All right, I promised an exclusive story. We are going to get you one. A middle school in the Milwaukee area, not only showing video of Alex Pretti's death, but propagandizing students, middle schoolers, kids as young as 6th grade, to write anti-ICE letters to Congress and the mayor. We'll get to that coming up next.
Keep in touch with Dan on Twitter at Dan O'Donnell Show. More of the show next.
Hey, WISN listeners, it's time to plan the annual Vicki McKenna fishing trip to Lake of the Woods, Ontario. Destination, Ballard's Black Island. Why are we going back? Obvious. It's trophy walleye, muskie, bass, northern. We catch all 4 in a single day. We call that the Grand Slam, and you're invited. Go to blackisland.com and sign up for the Vicki McKenna Canadian fishing trip. This trip goes fast, so get in before the spots are gone. Join me, Vicki McKenna, at blackisland.com, and let's set the hook.
Attention business owners. Are you thinking about selling your business? If so, contact Lake Country Advisors. Our experienced team of M&A advisors will meet with you face-to-face. We'll guide you through the process, we'll value your company, and we'll keep everything 100% confidential. So whether you're considering selling now or in the future, visit lakecountryadvisors.com and schedule your free consultation today. Local, experienced, trusted. We are Lake Country Advisors.
Here's something I bet you didn't know. Byrna, the personal defense company responsible for the fabled Byrna launchers, is proudly hand-assembled in the U.S. right in Fort Wayne, Indiana by American workers. Byrna is the world leader in less lethal personal defense. And the newest Byrna Compact is small enough to fit in a pocket or purse, but it fires kinetic or pepper rounds that can disable an attacker for up to 40 minutes. No background checks, no permits, ships right to your door. Visit Byrna.com today to find the right launcher for your family. That's BYRNA.com.
David Brownsdorf, president of Flawless Flooring, recommending iNet for web development and SEO.
That's all?
And graphic design, photography, and video.
That's more like it, Dave. Flawless installed luxury vinyl at 3 properties I own, including iNet. The 8 separate projects were easy, turned out beautiful, exceptional value, and are extremely durable.
But wait, there's more. iNet's creative genius branding and radio gives Flawless a unique identity, making us stand out. Hiring iNet is casting a net that pulls in customers your business wants and needs.
Clever, Dave. You just might have a future in radio ad writing.
My future is secure in flooring, partially because we cast our iNet 5 years ago.
Having Flawless replace pet stain and stink saturated carpet is a smell and sight upgrade, making every day more beautiful and less gross. Flawless Flooring, LLC.com.
Having iNet replace underperforming web, radio, any marketing enhances business opportunity for profitable growth. iNet-web.com. CreativeGeniusMarketing.com.
What can Everlast Structures do for us?
The neighbors had Everlast build a hobby building for them. John said they designed the building so that their camper and boat will fit inside, and enough room inside that his wife has an office space incorporated into the design. They went with a climate control package and have heated concrete floors. There's even a bathroom in their building.
With all that extra space, we can finally get organized.
Now, I'll give Everlast Structures a call right now.
Need more storage, a place for your hobbies, or a year-round climate-controlled utility building? We are Wisconsin's top post-frame builder with over 15 years of experience in the post-frame and residential construction industry. Our expertise lies in designing, supplying, and building your project seamlessly. We listen to our customers, understanding their goals and requirements while thinking about the future. Our post-frame structures are not only built for your current needs, but engineered for tomorrow's evolving demands. Everlast Structures are designed to enhance, built to endure. Call today to start your dream build with Everlast Structures.
The real estate industry insiders know who to call when it's time to sell their home. This is Chris Leby with Lake Country Flat Fee. We've built up a solid track record of helping out our fellow real estate colleagues over the years. Former realtors, mortgage professionals, real estate attorneys. Being in the business, they know our reputation and they're confident we'll deliver them results and savings. Our sellers save about 50% versus a traditional 6% broker. To learn more or to schedule a free market analysis, visit our website at lakecountryflatfee.com.
Dan Voss from Cut and Go here.
A tree planted in 1646 was instrumental to freedom you enjoy today.
For a decade, Sons of Liberty, including Paul Revere, Samuel Adams, and John Hancock, gathered under the Liberty Tree for meetings, speeches, and celebrations.
I'm Willow Voss. Makes me wonder what the historical significance trees Plant and Go plants might have hundreds of years from now.
If our oppressors didn't cut the Liberty Tree down, Cut and Go would meticulously manicure it for America's 250th anniversary. Cut and Go's remote-controlled, truck-mounted, articulated grapple saw operators will meticulously manicure your trees, removing damaged branches, limbs, even whole trees, getting your property ready to celebrate God's gift, America. Grind and Go removes eyesore, trip hazard stumps, and Plant and Go will implement a maximum beauty and benefit new, potentially historic tree planting plan.
Happy 250th anniversary, a Tons of Trees movement. CUTNGOtrees.com. That's cutandgotrees.com.
I'm defense attorney Tom Grieve. Charged with an OWI, it's not just a ticket. It's on your record permanently and can affect your career or your ability to travel. One mistake shouldn't ruin your life. Contact Grieve Law for your OWI defense. GrieveLaw.com.
The path to the Bay is officially locked in. A rematch of New England and Seattle. And iHeartRadio has your complete football coverage. Dive deep into early takes with the official NFL Podcast Network.
Welcome to NFL Daily.
And go live with Fox Sports Radio to join the conversation.
The two best road teams in the NFL.
Plus, iHeart is the home of the Super Bowl 60 tailgate concert, presented by NetApp. Just open the iHeartRadio app and search NFL to dive in.
Injured? Call Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
Opinion, emotion, passion. This is News Talk 1130 WISN.
Classical conservatism, contemporary style. It is the Dan O'Donnell Show. Welcome back to it. Whitman Middle School in Wauwatosa is apparently propagandizing its students. I received the following email from a listener this week. Hello, Dan. My daughter is in, he says the grade, I redacted that, at Whitman Middle School in Wauwatosa. She came home today to explain that her teachers, yes, more than one, have been bringing up the most recent shooting of the nurse, that is Alex Pretti, encouraging her and all students to write to the mayor and Congress to show outrage against ICE. In other words, indoctrination. She feels scared if she speaks on behalf of ICE or law enforcement. I'd like to put out in a public forum, and I will also be contacting the school myself for a better understanding of what the goal is with these talks during a time that should be spent on her education. They even had shown the video of the incident, along with bringing up Renee Good. I'd love to get this to as many folks to stand up against this in schools. For the record, I love the show and very much appreciate you sincerely. And then the parent signs their name. This is not the first time, apparently, that there has been an issue recently with class time being used on things other than education. January 21st, that would be, I believe, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, or it was immediately after, there was a peace walk where students at Whitman actually walked out of school. It was a walk for peace. According to a flyer sent home to parents, our school will be participating in a walk for peace on January 21st. A peace walk is an opportunity for the community to unify while raising awareness for peace, justice, and nonviolence. And then they give some suggestions on what signs to bring, optional enhancements. Add color or symbols that represent peace, unity, or hope. Include a meaningful word or phrase. Examples given: justice, kindness, equality. Carefully incorporate a short MLK quote with quotation marks. What is the purpose of this exactly? Now, I know what the purpose of the Renee Good, Alex Pretti walkout is. And in fact, there are a good number of schools that are going to be, at least in part, taking part in this national boycott day, or whatever it's called, tomorrow, in which they're going to try to harm as many local businesses as possible. Don't go to school. Don't go to work. Don't go to anything. Don't spend any money. This is one of those left-wing things that what it does is it makes powerless, impotent people feel powerful and like they're doing something. It's, of course, destructive, but that's sort of the point. Now, after I posted this story about the indoctrination at Whitman Middle School, I received an email from someone who has a connection to the school. Hello, Dan. Unfortunately, this is not Whitman Middle School's first issue with teaching what to think versus how. Shortly after President Trump won the election back in 2024, my granddaughter came home upset, stating a teacher, then sixth grade, was crying in class over the outcome and encouraged kids to express their feelings on the school collaboration board. My daughter sent me pictures that her kids drew or posted that reflected violent actions toward President Trump. She did not want her daughter treated poorly by her teacher for reporting. She was talking about her daughter, not the granddaughter. Hesitantly contacted school officials, and they said they would look into it. It went nowhere. My granddaughter felt the teacher treated her differently after that. They are a team, principal on down to teacher, and have each other's backs versus addressing and teaching all opinions matter, not just theirs. And she said, afraid to comment on your chat to keep my daughter and granddaughter from harassment as a result of this. Sad, probably smart, because for whatever reason, I think I have tripped the Facebook algorithm, and pretty much everything I post is getting hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of shares and thousands of comments from the most unhinged psychopathic leftists that you have ever heard. I'm looking at my Facebook messages right now. Eat bleep, you bleeping liar. You're a real bleep head, ain't ya? You're a F word that means well, I guess, what is that? A bundle of sticks, but it's used in this case as a slang term for a gay male. Those are simply messages that I have gotten 1:35, 1:40, and 2:18 p.m. So probably smart by our source here, saying that political indoctrination is sort of the way of the world at Whitman Middle School. And this is hardly, by the way, I did reach out to the Wauwatosa School District. I'm taking a wild guess. I am not going to hear back, just as I have not yet heard back from the president of the school board in Green Bay, saying Alex Pretti is exactly the sort of guy that we want our kids to grow up to be like. Coming up later on in the Dan O'Donnell Show, how exactly did a picture of a swastika make it into a picture that the Journal Sentinel posted of one of those ice out high school walkouts? We'll get into that and much more here on the Dan O'Donnell Show.
From the Lynch GM Superstore in Burlington Total Traffic Center.
Roadwork delays 94 eastbound, 92nd to Hawley, westbound 27 to Mitchell Boulevard. Southbound 894 going to be slow, Oklahoma to the Hale interchange, and then eastbound to past Forest Home. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by First Choice Heating and Cooling. First Choice Heating and Cooling's new Premier program covers everything. New system installation, all repairs, maintenance, even filters. One simple monthly payment. True worry-free comfort. Call First Choice Heating and Cooling today for details.
I'm Dave Brownsdorf, president of Flawless Flooring. Realtor.com says depending on location and a few other factors, new hardwood floors add as much as 2.5% to home sale value, even if you plan to sell. Enjoy home more now while increasing your sale price with Flawless's LVP, hardwood, or amazing realistic, super wear-resistant modern laminate plank. Steamy wet dog and litter box aromas bother homeowners and buyers. But you say, Dave, we want the sound deadening and warmth underfoot of carpet? Our Delafield and New Berlin showrooms have countless style and combination flooring choices, including quality luxury carpet lines. Steamy stains and carpet stink, including pet fluids, wipe off Flawless Flooring's luxury vinyl plank and modern laminate plank, zero steam effortlessly. Our employee-only craftsmen meticulously refinish existing hardwood, even perfectly blending additional hardwood with existing. With Flawless's nothing down, zero interest financing, upgrade today and pay over 21 months. Sensory underload, Flawless Flooring. FlawlessFlooringLLC.com.
Once again, it's This Week with Annex Wealth Management. Dan O'Donnell alongside Annex's Dr. Brian Jacobson. And Brian, we are just starting earnings season yet again. We also have some serious questions about what the Federal Reserve is going to do with respect to interest rates. Obviously, there is unrest here at home. There are some questions about foreign policy abroad. What do you make of all of this?
Yeah, there's no shortage of things for us to really be watching. I think that really what the markets are going to be focused on this week. Federal Reserve, we know that the Fed is not likely going to be cutting rates at this meeting, but what sort of questions will Chair Powell get about whether or not he plans on sticking around, even if he's no longer going to be the chair of the Federal Reserve? His term as a governor isn't up until January 2028. So is he going to stick around, or is he going to go into private equity or do something else like that in retirement? And then we have earnings season. Wednesday after the bell, we get the earnings from Microsoft, Meta, also Tesla. We're curious about the profitability of those firms. Are companies still just spending money hand over fist? And then on Thursday, we get Apple. So it's a big week for the markets. Plenty of things to look at, a lot to focus on.
And if that wasn't enough, we also have the possibility of a government shutdown over ICE funding at the end of the week coming up on Friday. Suffice it to say, there is a whole lot that can impact markets. And for you, there's a whole lot that can impact your bottom line. And it's not just this week, it's every week. That's why you need to know what it is that's in your portfolio and why you own it. You need to be working with someone who's working with and for you as a fee-only fiduciary, and you can find them at AnnexWealth.com. For Brian Jacobson, he is the chief economist at Annex. I'm Dan O'Donnell. Thanks so much for listening to This Week with Annex Wealth Management.
I'm Thomas Rozecki at Central Office Systems. Implementing technology diligence saves businesses money, making technology profitable.
Chris Rozecki here. Seamlessly reliable technology is a competitive advantage for your business operations.
Flawlessly integrated IT, phone, email, software, data storage, data security backed by Central Office's North American Help Desk is smart business operations.
Central Office IT support answers your employees' calls in 1 minute. If your issue can't be resolved immediately by phone, Central Office dispatches live local technical experts.
Central Office IT managed services secure your information, technology, and data. Our camera systems clearly document faces, read license plates, send alerts when movement, heat, or smoke are viewed.
Central Office smart camera systems combined with individual entry access from HID card, key fob, or smartphones limited to certain days or time periods secure your property.
Your company can afford Fortune 500 class IT system service and support with Central Office.
Converting IT risk and liability into assets, centralofficesystems.com.
Your clear choice for more. Lisbon Store, screen and door.
Marketing a modern business means finding and serving your customers 24/7 wherever they are. WISN broadcasts are a powerful platform, but there's so much more. WISN's online digital tools are completely customizable, so you can reach your ideal customer through the iHeart app or by using software that actually finds your customers at a specific location or event. These tools are precise, efficient, measurable marketing weapons that you need to use. Combine the power and cloud of WISN's broadcast and digital platforms right now. Go to newstalk1130.com, keyword digital.
Democrats absolutely are going to shut down the government, or at least they're going to try to. Wisconsin Senator Tammy Baldwin among them, because they don't want immigration enforcement. It has nothing to do with ICE's tactics. It has nothing to do with ICE itself. It has everything to do with the fact that Democrats realize now that they need illegal immigrants to gain and maintain political power in this country. Do you realize that if we counted only American citizens for the purposes of the census and every 10 years the reapportionment of congressional seats, California would lose somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 to 7 congressional seats and also 6 to 7 electoral votes in presidential elections in 2030? As it stands now, even counting every single illegal in California, the state is projected to lose 4. Texas is going to gain 4, rather paradoxically. It's because Austin and Dallas are growing by leaps and bounds. Austin especially. Austin was about the size of Madison maybe 15 to 20 years ago. It's remarkable what that city has been able to do. I was actually there in October for my brother's bachelor party. He lives down there. He's a doctor in the University of Texas health system, and I was down there. They got married in Mexico in December, so I didn't get to go down there for the wedding, and absolutely fell in love with the city. Yes, it's liberal as all hell, but it's a wonderful city. If you get a chance to go down there for the South by Southwest or Austin City Limits or one of the other big things that they do, or just to go down there, it is very, very cool. Coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, we will explain exactly how Democrats have gotten themselves so dependent upon illegal immigration and why sanctuary city policies are sort of their key to it. We will also get into an exclusive story. How exactly did a picture of a swastika end up on the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel's Instagram page? It was part of one of the Ice Out student protests at a local high school. We'll dive into that right now, though. It's time to name the unhinged liberal of the day.
Make me crazy.
Trump is Hitler.
We are in pre-Nazi Germany. Make me crazy.
All white people are racist.
Trump is dangerous because he's evil. America is over.
Be a big fan of Breaking Bad. Everybody was a fan of Breaking Bad that watched it. One of the best series, I think, of all time. Now, I have gotten into near fist fights with members of my family and even my own wife for saying it's derivative. It's completely derivative of The Sopranos. The Sopranos was a far superior series, and Breaking Bad, I could do an entire hour of how Breaking Bad is brilliant. It is a brilliant show, but it is literally The Sopranos set in Albuquerque with meth instead of the mafia. But one of the best characters on that show was the bad guy Gus Fring, played by Giancarlo Esposito, who was truly terrifying. He was fantastic in that role. He reprised it later for the prequel series Better Call Saul. It pains me to say this, but he is today's unhinged liberal of the day. He's on a red carpet for some award show somewhere saying, "We need an armed revolution against the white men in charge of ICE and the Border Patrol."
This is time for a revolution. It's time for it, and they don't even know that's what they're starting. You know, some very rich old white men are exerting their power to suppress our own people, thus creating a feeling of civil war in the streets, preparing the haters to hate, teaching them how to shoot. They're not even trained right, to kill. This is all a preparation for a very insidious problem that's happening in our world. And for me, I have to speak out that we will not be iced out. This is not going to happen. They can't take us all down. If the whole world showed up on Putin's doorstep or on the Iranian's doorstep or in Washington, it would they'll kill 550 million, however, but the rest of us would survive with a new. This is time for a revolution. It's time for it, and they don't even know that's what they're starting.
You notice that Giancarlo would not have been one of the 50 million killed by Putin or the Iranians or presumably Trump. Well, yeah, a bunch of people would die. The rest of us, we'd continue the revolution in film. The revolution will be televised by Giancarlo. Could someone also tell him that Hispanics make up about 20% of the American population? They make up roughly 50% of the border patrol in this country, and they make up roughly 33% of all ICE agents in this country. It is not the white men controlling this agency. He would be rising up against the very Hispanics that he claims to be protecting. Giancarlo Esposito, your unhinged liberal of the day. And yes, for those of you asking, a lot of people have texted me, Dan, did you hear the new Bruce Springsteen song about Minneapolis? I honestly thought when I first heard it that it was a Bruce Springsteen AI that some random person had put together. It is that amateurish and bad. If we have time, I'll play a little bit for you and make fun of it. Daily Trump Date coming up next here on the Dan O'Donnell Show.
All programs on News Talk 1130 WISN are broadcast through the Annex Wealth Management Studios. Annex Wealth Management. Know the difference. Stay informed all day, every day on News Talk 1130 WISN. Milwaukee, an iHeartRadio station. Guaranteed human.
Good afternoon. I'm Sean Maloney. Donald Trump's border czar Tom Homan said today the administration could reduce the number of immigration enforcement officers in Minnesota, but only if state and local officials cooperate. After months of meetings and concerns from residents in the DeForest area, a big data center project has officially been scrapped. On Wednesday, QTS announced that now is not the right time for their proposed project to move forward in the area. Many locals cited worries of the environmental impact and decreasing property values. In business news, the Dow was up nearly 56 points today. The S&P 500 down 9 points, and the NASDAQ down 172 points. Checking the Holiday Automotive Final Act Sports Scoreboard, the Bucs look to get back into the win column tonight against Washington. From the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin News Center, I'm Sean Maloney on Wisconsin's most listened to radio station, News Talk 1130 WISN.
From the Odoo.com Weather Center. Odoo.com, the only business software you need.
Increasing clouds tonight with temperatures dropping into the single digits. Snow is possible along the lake on Friday with an inch or two of accumulation possible at this time. Temperatures reach into the teens on Friday, then 20s over the weekend. I'm Fox 6 meteorologist Stephanie Barrichello.
This report is sponsored by King's Hawaiian Sliders. Nothing brings friends and family together on game day like delicious King's Hawaiian Sliders. Bring them to the big game table and be the real MVP. Pick some up this weekend in the bakery or deli section of your local store. Football and King's irresistible Hawaiian Sliders. There's nothing like it.
Jay here again for my friends at Semperfi Roofing. The Wisconsin winter's especially hard on the roof of your home. The folks at Semperfi want you to keep an eye out for signs of winter roofing problems. Icicles hanging from your gutters, uneven snow melt on your roof, or water stains on your ceiling. If you see any of these, don't wait. Call the roofing experts at Semperfi. See, unlike a lot of roofers in the area, Semperfi doesn't shut down during the winter. They know your roof problems can't wait until spring. In fact, they can be at your home within 24 hours and do a free 21-point inspection, diagnose the issue, and recommend a solution. And if it's time for a new roof, their highly trained installation teams will install it perfectly the first time, clean up after themselves, and leave your home and yard nicer than they found it. So if you see signs of winter roofing problems, don't wait. Set up your free no-obligation roof inspection and estimate today. 262-600-2910, 262-600-2910, or online at semperfiroofing.com.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semperfi.
We're the Libby family
at Do-It-Yourself Bathroom Center near State Fair on 62nd and Greenfield.
We're not a home center.
Everyone here is an expert who really knows their stuff.
Plus, nobody beats our prices. Remember our slogan,
I did it myself at Do-It-Yourself.
Let me share Brian's story. He's in Alabama, and he wrote in, he said, Glenn, after taking Relief Factor for just 3 weeks, at least 90% of my pain is gone. My pain had started to limit me at work and at home, and I am amazed at the relief that I have got. Those are Brian's own words, and they speak volumes about what Relief Factor can do. And I've seen that kind of transformation in myself, and hearing Brian's experience reinforces why I take endorsing Relief Factor so seriously. Before I started taking Relief Factor myself, I was losing hope that I could ever have a normal life again. My hands were in so much pain. It's created by doctors, 100% drug-free product using 4 key ingredients. It supports the body's natural inflammatory response. Hundreds of thousands of people have ordered Relief Factor, and like Brian and me, over 2/3 of these people go on to order more month after month. So don't wait. If you're dealing with pain, launch your 3-week quick start and see what Relief Factor can do for you. Call 800-4RELIEF or go to relieffactor.com. Don't wait anymore. Feel what it's like to be out of pain. 1-800-4RELIEF.
Welcome back to Ask Hassellus.
I give up. Where are they?
Who?
Hassellus Mattress employees.
Hassellus Mattress showrooms really are employee-free. Give our mattresses a try with no pushy sales guy.
Don't believe it.
You won't believe our prices either. Beauty Rest, Sealy Posturepedic, and more for way less. Free next day delivery, too.
Sure. Next you'll say I can get a free adjustable base with my purchase through Monday.
As a matter of fact, yes.
Oh, come on.
Find an employee-free showroom near you at Hassellus.com.
When it's 40 degrees in your living room and you've started using the toaster as a hand warmer.
And the dog is wearing more layers than a lasagna.
And you're using a blowtorch to defrost your Cheerios.
And you're considering burning the coffee table for warmth.
Then it's officially time to call Capital. We offer same-day heating repair service 7 days a week.
And for a limited time, all our heating service calls are free when we make the repair.
Just call Capital. We'll banish the brrr.
Call CapitalCares.com.
Verneri award-winning home renovating.
I'm Ashley Dvorkin with the Fox Celebrity Profile with Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Micah Monroe of Hulu's remake of The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Winstead hasn't seen the 1992 original, but it still had a chilling effect.
I'm planning on seeing it. I have been meaning to see it since ever since. I feel like you understand. I knew the feeling of it. Like I remember when it came out, we all knew, even as a 9-10-year-old, I felt it. I was like, what is this movie? And she's a nanny? She's doing what? And oh my God, like there was a feeling in the air that I remember, like viscerally.
Monroe said she loves the original and shared how this one differs.
This version is like very grounded and at its core is just, looking at these two, very flawed female characters.
Adding to the tension on screen, the stars kept their distance on set.
It was really great. I think it was like a really collaborative experience in that way. It was only to kind of help aid in the scenes, kept that sort of mystery between us, and we still were like super friendly.
Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
Dan O'Donnell Show, conservative thought, not just talk. Coming up, was it a kid who was doing a prank? Was it a message about ICE agents? Why was there a swastika in a picture that the Journal Sentinel actually used for one of the ICE out student walkout protests in southeast Wisconsin a couple of days ago? We will get to that coming up in just a second. Right now, though, it is time for the Daily Trump Day.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning.
Trump just keeps winning.
It is a win for the administration.
It's also a big win for the United States.
We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
President Trump this morning holding the very first cabinet meeting of his second year in office and saying the first year was the best first year any president has ever had, ever.
This has been, I think, and a lot of people say it, the most successful year of any administration in American history. First year, there's never been a first year like this, including the fact that we extinguished 8 wars, and another one we think is coming. Steve Witkoff's working very hard, and Jared and everybody else, and I think it's coming. It was just announced that the murder rate in our country is the biggest drop ever recorded. It's at the lowest level in 125 years. First in recorded history, it's the lowest in at least 125 years. That's a wonderful thing. And the crime is way down, and one of the reasons was we've taken a lot of bad people and gotten them out of our country. In some cases, they're so bad that we put them in prison because we don't want them to even take a chance of coming back in, even though our border is very secure, record-setting secure. We had 0 illegal aliens being admitted into our country for the last 8 months. That's hard for even me to believe, but the people that make up the lists are supposedly nonpartisan, but I would say they lean toward the Democrat side. And if they say that, I'm all for it.
Vintage Trump. He, of course, also touted his economic successes, heard from cabinet secretaries, including his Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who touted his Trump accounts, $1,000 in the hands of newborn babies that will accrue interest and invest in the American stock market. Could be worth millions by the time the baby is 30, 40 years old. Also talking about the stock market hitting 7,000, the S&P 500 for the very first time just yesterday. And of course, the president was railing on the market-killing momentum, the momentum-killing announcement by Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. Now, Powell is going to be out as chairman of the board. It is still an open question as to whether he is going to stay on as a governor of the Fed. 3 Federal Reserve governors, all appointed by Trump, all dissented from Powell's decision yesterday not to lower interest rates. This morning in Minneapolis, border czar Tom Homan called out politicians who he says are making it far more difficult for law enforcement officers to do their jobs.
Where were they the last 4 years when the number of women and children sex trafficking went all-time high? Where were they when 250,000 Americans died from fentanyl coming across the border? Where were they when women and children are dying making that journey? Where were they when over 4,000 aliens making that journey died? Historic record. Where were they? Not a word. Now we're just trying to respond to what happened the last 4 years and keeping this country safe. And we're arresting a lot of public safety threats, take them off the streets, which make this country safer. President Trump promised to make this country safe again.
And Homan said that's exactly what he and his agents are doing. Now, Homan did meet with Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, who initially, it seems, agreed to some of the Trump administration's requests/demands to lower the federal presence in Minneapolis, but has been publicly still keeping up the rhetoric that Homan calls dangerous and irresponsible and has led to 2 people in Minneapolis now getting killed.
I begged for the last 2 months on TV for the rhetoric to stop. I said in March, if the rhetoric didn't stop, there's going to be bloodshed. And there has been. I wish I wasn't right. I don't want to see anybody die. Not officers, not members of the community, and not the targets of our operations. For the people out there who don't like what ICE is doing, if you want certain laws reformed, then take it up with Congress. Again, ICE is making this up. They're enforcing laws enacted by Congress and signed by the president. The same laws have been on the books for the last 6 presidents I worked for. I started with President Reagan and ending with President Trump. Every administration, we enforce the same laws.
That is actually an excellent point. In fact, the Obama administration was bragging about the number of deportations conducted in the 8 years Obama was president. There was not a single protest, not a single riot, not a single ICE agent spat upon. There were millions of deportations under George W. Bush. Again, 0 protests, 0 riots. Bill Clinton, same thing. Even Joe Biden. There were actually a couple million deportations under the Biden administration. Guess what? 0 protests or riots. It also, folks, has not escaped my notice that we have, over the past decade, only had 4 years in which there were no riots in the United States. Those just happen to be the 4 years that Joe Biden was president. This is now a tactic of the left. We're just going to have riots. We're just going to have violent uprisings every time there is a Republican president. And you could actually see this being telegraphed the very first week that Trump was in office in 2017. Week 1, week 2, something like that. One of the very first major policy pushes by the Trump administration. Do you know what it was? You remember, it was 9 years ago now. That's right. The so-called Muslim travel ban. Would you believe there were protests across the country that were paid for, organized, highly coordinated, and they were just waiting. They were literally waiting for the first Trump policy that they thought would be actionable. It turned out to be the so-called Muslim travel ban, a ban on travel from and visas from and immigration from countries which were not cooperating with the United States on vetting people coming into this country. They're from terror hotbeds. It makes all the sense in the world that we would need to secure better cooperation on vetting from the host nations before we let people who could be terrorists into this country. Cold hard cash contest word this hour, money, M-O-N-E-Y, money. You have got until 4:55 to go to our website, enter the keyword money to enter the contest for this hour. If your entry is picked at random, $1,000 in cash money for you, courtesy of iHeartMedia. A student, it seems, participating in Whitefish Bay High School's Ice Out protest a couple of days ago. This was, I believe, yesterday. The Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel posted the picture yesterday on its official @Journal-Sentinel Instagram page, along with a number of pictures from the Whitefish Bay walkout. It shows several dozen kids holding up signs and standing on what appears to be the front steps of Whitefish Bay High School. Some of the signs say, turn up the heat, melt the ice, love melts ice, fire is catching. I can't see some of these other ones. In the back, though, and if you go to my social media, @Dan O'Donnell Show on X, on Facebook, and on Instagram, I've got it circled. In the back, right next to the Love Melts Ice sign, there's a kid very clearly holding up a swastika. It is a black swastika on white paper. Now, I have absolutely no idea who this kid is. I'm assuming it's a kid. It could very well be a staff member. I would doubt it since these all appear to be students. I'm going to take a wild guess that this is a student. All you can see is a hand. It's a white student with a black shirt or jacket or sweatshirt, and it appears that this student is wearing some sort of bracelet or watch. That's all you can literally just see a hand. It is a small sign, but it is a swastika. White paper, black swastika. I'm not going to pretend I know what the meaning of this is. I mean, obviously I know the meaning of a swastika, okay? I understand in the context of the last 100 years of human events what a swastika means and the people who use the swastika as their symbol. I'm saying in the context here, was it a kid who in one of the most Jewish communities in Wisconsin, and this is some pretty critical context here. Whitefish Bay is a very heavily Jewish community. It is therefore a bit different to hold up a swastika there than perhaps somewhere else. Is this a sign, a symbol that is aimed at the Jewish community of Whitefish Bay? Possibly. Is it a sign indicating that ICE agents who are being protested are just like the Nazis? Is it a kid who is trolling the protests by either putting up the most ridiculous sign that he or she can find or trying to intentionally sabotage this picture by putting up a swastika sign? I have no idea. I have a screen cap of this up at my social media because I am just taking a wild guess. And yes, the Journal-Sentinel had it up. I guarantee nobody at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel's social media team saw this swastika. I'm just going to take a guess that it was completely oversight. They slipped one past the goalie here, and nobody intended at the Milwaukee Journal. I'm very critical of the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. I'm going to take a wild guess. They don't have actual Nazis in their social media team looking to subliminally place these images. Now, did you notice how I'm giving the Journal-Sentinel the benefit of the doubt? Do you think every Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel employee would say the same thing about Dan O'Donnell? Yes, clearly he's not actually a Nazi. Or would some of them be like, yeah, that Dan O'Donnell's clearly a Nazi? I think it's probably the latter. In spite of the lack of grace that same publication would ever show me, I'm going to show them a little grace and say, look, they didn't intend for this to be out there. I guess I'm just a little perplexed and slightly amused. Because one thing that we have seen in a whole lot of these protests is, of course, the comparisons to the Nazis, the comparisons to Hitler, the comparisons to the brown shirts, the SS, and pretty much everything Nazi Germany, proving once again that liberals have absolutely no imagination, none. The only comparisons that they can ever make are to Nazis or Harry Potter. Trump is either Hitler or he is Voldemort, and I am telling you, there is not another thing that a 25 to 35-year-old white female liberal can ever compare him to. Trust me, I have gone through enough of their TikTok videos, and enough of them are now commenting on my Facebook page to know that they lack imagination. So I would love it if Whitefish Bay School District would get to the bottom of this and get back to me. Let me know, what are we doing here about the Nazi imagery in your student walkout protest that you were undoubtedly so proud of earlier this week? You're listening to the Dan O'Donnell Show, a tour de force of truth. We'll be right back to it.
The next generation is here. You're listening to the Dan O'Donnell Show.
From the Lynch Chevrolet of Kenosha Total Traffic Center.
Multiple crews responding to a crash out in Summit, Valley Road, and Sawyer Road. 94 eastbound is going to be heavy 84th to Hawley, and westbound 27th to Hawley. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest Total Traffic.
This report is sponsored by Tap In Golf in Waukesha and Sussex.
Looking for the ultimate sports bar experience? Tap In Golf Bar in Waukesha and Sussex has you covered. Catch every game, play golf on cutting-edge simulators, or simply relax with a drink. For more, go to tapingolfbar.com.
If the server asks you how you would like your steak cooked and you respond, on the grill, you might need a better night's sleep.
People are loving Penny Mustard's line of double-sided memory foam mattresses.
If you apologize to the chair you just bumped into, you might need a better night's sleep.
Made in Wisconsin and built to last 45% longer than the average memory foam mattress.
If you make small talk with your chiropractor and ask what they do for a living,
insanely comfortable, exclusive double-sided memory foam developed by the sleep geniuses at Penny Mustard.
If you tried pinching and expanding the page of a magazine,
offering zero-gravity sleep positioning,
and backed by a 1-year comfort guarantee.
If the cashier says, "Have a great day," and you respond, "No, thank you," you might need a better night's sleep.
And a better night's sleep starts at Penny Mustard Furnishings.
Find a showroom near you at pennymustard.com.
Better versions of the sleep people want.
Penny Mustard Furnishing.
For more information about contests on News Talk 1130 WISN, go to newstalk1130.com/rules.
That sharp pain in your back, the stiffness in your neck, you don't have to live with it. Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin is one of the most trusted names for back and spinal care in the region, right here in our community. Relief starts at orthowisconsin.com. There is a difference.
Make News Talk 1130 WISN your number one preset on our free iHeartRadio app, powered by Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
Injured?
Remember, one call, that's all.
How do you define strength? Is it physical? Or is it mental? Maybe it's both. Maybe it's whatever empowers a person to dig deeper, fight harder, and overcome obstacles that once seemed insurmountable. Discover how much stronger and more confident your children can be. Encourage them to participate in a sport when they go to high school.
This message presented by the Wisconsin Interscholastic Athletic Association and the Wisconsin Athletic Directors Association.
The talk shows on WISN Radio. Not for the faint of heart and not for the feeble of mind. News Talk 1130 WISN. Fact is, until you've heard us, you haven't heard the whole story. Now,
back to the Dan O'Donnell Show.
So we've got Whitman Middle School walking out and showing the video of Alex Pretti getting killed instead of, actually learning. We've got parents saying, hey, you've got teachers telling kids, why don't you write a letter to the mayor, Wauwatosa Mayor Dennis McBride? Yes, I'm sure he would love to get all of these emails from kids talking about anti-ICE nonsense, or write a letter to Congress expressing anti-ICE propaganda. A number of parents reached out to me saying that they did not feel comfortable with their kids being a part of all of this. And then you've got Whitefish Bay High School kids holding up a swastika during their ICE Out demonstration. Not only that, you've got the school board president up in Green Bay who happens to be married to Dr. Kristen Lyerly, the woman who started the false rumor that ICE was booking hundreds of hotel rooms at the Hilton Hotel in Milwaukee. James Lyerly saying, Alex Pretti is precisely the type of guy that we want our students to grow up and be like. I'm starting to see a problem here with education in Wisconsin. What do you notice? These are three of the most liberal school districts in the entire state. Folks, when parents accept this sort of behavior from school administrators and teachers, you get this sort of behavior from school administrators and teachers. I'll bet you every single one of those school districts was among the school districts that wrote this big letter to the state legislature saying, we just can't keep up. We need more funding because student enrollment has declined. Are you ready for this? Student enrollment has declined across the state, and really across the country. And this is a function, not just, they love to blame the Catholic schools, the charter schools. They love to blame school choice. It's actually not. This is a broader societal trend that my generation and the generation below mine, the millennials and the Generation Z and Generation Alpha, hopefully the alphas aren't quite old enough to start having kids yet, but none of us are having kids in anywhere near the numbers of the greatest generation. This really started with the baby boomers. Really, you can, and I know I pick on the boomer libs quite a bit, primarily because it's fun, but you actually can point to the point in civilization where we really stopped having 4, 5, 6 children being the norm and going to 2 or 3 kids and 4 children in a family now being considered an exceptionally large family. I have 3 children. My wife and I did our part. Each woman, and every time I explain this, I get questions about it. In order to maintain replacement level births, you need to have 2.1 children per woman. Dan, how is that possible? It's an average, genius. So my wife and I did our part. Why 2.1? One father, one mother. Libs, you are going to get a science lesson too. See, when a man loves a woman very much, they must both be cisgender. Only the woman can get pregnant. Say it with me. Only the woman can get pregnant. Only the man can do the impregnating. But in order to replace the parents who at some point, hopefully not for a long, long time, but will die, you need to have 2.1 children per woman. Why per woman? Because men can obviously impregnate. In any event. We are well below the replacement level now for births, and this is actually a big reason. This ties into why Democrats at least pretend to want to have unfettered immigration across borders. Weirdly enough, though, it's only immigration from the third world. We don't seem to want any more immigration from like Italy or Germany. Seems like we got enough Germans here in the United States. No. We need as many Hondurans as we can possibly get here. Honduran doctors? Honduran engineers? Yeah, that'd be great. Nope. Honduran criminals, Honduran day laborers, the lowest skilled, uneducated people that you can possibly find. In fact, if you could just give us a whole bunch of Honduran criminals, that would actually be ideal. Democrats say that this is to replace or augment the number of births that aren't happening. Really, it is to provide them with a permanent voting dependent class that they will be forever indebted to Democrats for getting them to the United States. We'll discuss that in a little bit greater depth. But all of these school districts that are wasting valuable class time by having their kids walk out and write letters to Congress about how much they hate ICE, they all signed on to this letter saying we need to change the way that K-12 education is funded because school enrollment is declining and we need more and more money. Now, this seems awful counterintuitive to me. If you have fewer children to educate, would it not stand to reason that you would have fewer expenses, that there would be fewer costs, that maybe you wouldn't need quite as many teachers? Maybe you wouldn't need quite as many administrators. Maybe you wouldn't need quite as many facilities. Naturally, no one in education wants to confront this very harsh reality. So now we get things like Governor Evers' 400-year veto, where school districts can simply increase the amount of money per pupil that is spent without ever having to go to referendum. That's what the 400-year veto did. Now, Governor Evers has demanded now that legislative Republicans go along with his $1.3 billion property tax relief proposal. Just undo the 400-year veto. Just undo it. Force those school districts to go to referendum, or as they're facing declining enrollment, as they're facing declining state aid, force them to cut, force them to adapt. Producer Eric, as you walk the halls of iHeartRadio, are there nearly as many people in this building as there were a decade ago? 60% less minimum, maybe 75% less. A lot of very good, very talented people are no longer in the radio business because the radio business is changing. There's a whole lot of competition from podcasts, from video streaming, from all of this. I actually thought one of the most brilliant things our company did you see our partnership with Netflix? You can now watch some of the big-time podcasts like Charlemagne the God. What is his show? The Breakfast Club. I think we're doing Last Murder on the Left and some of the other big podcasts. You can actually watch them on Netflix. I think it's a genius idea. Genius idea. Get revenue from Netflix. They get content. We get our shows out there to a totally new audience. You get advertising. It's just, it was a smart move. But iHeartRadio, I'll never forget when we changed our name from Clear Channel Audio to iHeartRadio. Do you know why I'll never forget that? Because I had 500 business cards delivered the day before that said Dan O'Donnell, talk show host, Clear Channel Radio. And then we had an all-staff meeting. We get our CEO on a video conference. Hey, we're changing the company's name to iHeartMedia. I'm like, that's great. What am I going to do with 500 Clear Channel business cards? That was the last time I ever got business cards. Yeah, what I tell people now is I'm about the easiest person in the world to find. My point being, the radio business, just like every other business, has had to adapt. And yes, we have had competition, just as public education has had competition from charter schools and private schools and homeschooling. That is an issue. But the biggest issue is that there simply aren't as many people who are listening to our product. For schools, there's not as many children being born. And for people who listen to the radio, it's as people grow up into that age where, hey, I care about the world now, or I'm going to start listening to, Taylor Swift, where it is kids. They're listening to Spotify to get their Taylor Swift. Adults are listening to, Tucker Carlson's podcast. They're not listening. They're not saying, hey, I better tune in at exactly 3:06 so I can hear Dan O'Donnell. This is why we make such a concerted effort to do video, to post clips from this show constantly, to constantly talk about the podcast. You can listen to us at any time. It's because we have to adapt. If you don't adapt, you die. Except, of course, you're in government, and then you can just demand that you get more money, or you can have the governor just soak taxpayers to the tune of $80 million every single year. You saw how much your property tax bill went up by this year. You better believe it's going to keep going up because of this mindset from the very people behind the walkouts in Whitefish Bay, behind the walkouts in Wauwatosa schools and the indoctrination at Wauwatosa schools and MPS and Madison Metropolitan and all the big school districts that are tomorrow, I'm sure, going to allow, there's this big nationwide, it's like a boycott day. I forget what the lefties are calling it, but you're not supposed to go to work. You're not supposed to go to school. I love this. Lefties are going to protest by not going to work. How is that different than any other day? First, prove to me that you're employed. I'm not going to work today. Well, wow, what's the special occasion? Is it Wednesday? They're going to not go to work. Oh, yes. Yes, all of the goons who are spending their days chasing around ICE agents in Minneapolis. Yes, please boycott your job, which you are very obviously going to every day. Dan O'Donnell Show coming back in just a second.
Dan O'Donnell will be right back.
From the place you want to go, Lynch McGuanago Traffic Center.
Southbound on 43 near Hampton, you got police activity off to the right shoulder. Not causing a delay, though. You are slow past that. From Center down to the Marquette and on to 4394 down to the KK River. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Grand Appliance. Get an unbeatable experience and up to $300 back on innovative brands like LG exclusively at Grand Appliance. Visit grandappliance.com or shop in person at your local Grand showroom to learn more. That's Grand Appliance. Appliance expert since 1930.
Retirement planning doesn't have to be complicated or overwhelming. Tune in to the Retirement Clinic every Saturday morning at 10 and join Jeff and Aaron Kowal from Creative Planning as they dive into the latest retirement news, break down investment and planning strategies, and answer the questions you're already asking. The Retirement Clinic, every Saturday at 10 with Jeff and Aaron Kowal from Creative Planning. Clear and informative discussions about your retirement on News Talk 1130 WISN.
Hey, Dan O'Donnell here for Mander Collision and Glass, where I've been taking my vehicles for years. People always ask me, Dan, are they really that good? And I always say, they're better. The workmanship is outstanding, and it's backed by a lifetime warranty. But what really sets Mander apart is the customer service they provide and their attention to detail. Just listen to this 5-star review from Greg. Brian and the crew took excellent care of my car. Professional, friendly, and kept in good contact throughout the entire process. Could not recommend a better place. Thanks for the great service and experience. The work they did was awesome, and my car looks amazing. Mine always have two, Greg. That's why I've referred at least a dozen friends and family members to Mander over the years, and all of them had the exact same experience that Greg did. You will too. All you need to do is to start your repair today by heading to mandercollision.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment? That's a lie. Most timeshares can be bought online for $1. To find out what your timeshare is worth and to cancel it, call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit kit free with all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free exit info guide. 800-978-1515. That's 800-978-1515.
I'm Warshawski Law's nationally certified legal investigator, John Schatzman. If you or someone you love is horribly injured, Sign and Settle Lawyers should scare you more than blocking Clay Matthews on a Klingon battle cruiser. Insurance companies value your claim based on the quality of your law firm. Settlement Mills investigating your injuries is a lawyer who never tried a case looking at police reports. With Warshawski in your corner, our own investigator will be on the way to record the scene of your injury, interview witnesses, usually within minutes of your call. It's not uncommon for me to document and preserve evidence police officers did not see as significant. Meticulous examination of physical evidence, all documentation, and every medical record makes certain nothing is missed. Warshawski will show how your losses could have been prevented and exactly why they were not. Insurance companies are risk adverse. Warshawski's unique skills make record cash settlements possible. And when settlement is not forthcoming, your best outcome at trial. Injured, it is about the money. Warshawski.com.
Ever wonder what it takes to feel truly wealthy and financially comfortable? Schwab asked Americans that question, and most said at least $2 million. But here's the thing, your number might be different. And that makes sense because your dreams, travel, retirement, and the legacy you want to leave are unique to you. That's why you need advice that's just as personal. The team at Annex Wealth Management is ready to listen and help you build a plan that fits your life. Click the Get Started button at annexwealth.com.
I'm attorney Tom Grieve, here to tell you about Grieve Civil Law. Life is unpredictable, and the consequences of not planning for the future can be devastating. Have you ever thought about what would happen if you ended up in the hospital without the ability to make your own medical decisions? Or what will happen to your family if you die without a will? Without a power of attorney, your family could face agonizing decisions without knowing what you wanted. You could undergo medical interventions you don't want, or worse, lie in limbo while medical staff tries to determine who should have the final say in what happens to you. When you're gone, your loved ones could end up in probate with legal battles, high court costs and fees, and family disputes over your assets. In probate, everyone can see your assets, from the government to your nosy neighbors. Plan today so you can have peace of mind tomorrow. Don't leave your family in chaos and confusion. Contact Grieve Civil Law today, because tomorrow is not guaranteed. Visit grievecivillaw.com.
And the winner of the iHeart Podcast Award is...
You can decide who takes home the 2026 iHeart Podcast Awards Podcast of the Year by voting at iHeartPodcastAwards.com now through February 22nd. See all the nominees and place your vote at iHeartPodcastAwards.com.
Audible is a proud sponsor of the Audible Audio Pioneer Award. Explore the best selection of audiobooks, podcasts, and originals all in one easy app. Audible. There's more to imagine when you listen. Sign up for a free trial at audible.com.
Injured? Call Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
The iHeartRadio app now has preset buttons, just like your car radio. Now make sure one of those preset buttons is set to News Talk 1130 WISN. Excellence is just one click away on the preset buttons of the iHeartRadio app.
Touched a little bit in that last segment on one of the major issues facing the world, and that is the dramatically declining birth rate. Across the globe, in 1960, there were 5 births per woman. That means each woman in 1960 had an average of 5 children. In 2023, there were 2.3. That is a significant decline in just 63 years. And there is no single reason for it. And by the way, the only countries that are keeping the birth rate above what's known as replacement level, 2.1 children for every woman, it's the developing world, particularly Nigeria. Nigeria is going to probably within the next decade or so be the second most populous country on earth behind India. Here in the United States, the birth rate is now 1.6 births per woman. That's 2024 data from the CDC. 1.6. We are well below. We are half a baby short of replacement level. And we're not alone. Throughout the developed world. In France, last year, France recorded more deaths than births for the first time since World War II. Obviously, during the Nazi occupation and the resistance and fighting the war, there were more deaths than births. First time ever. There's no war in Europe. It is just the population is getting older. Japan in 2024 recorded the lowest number of births in 125 years, since 1900. That was the last time the birth rate was this low. In China, China now has a total fertility rate 1.0 birth per woman. This is reflective of China's long-standing one-child policy, which was rescinded some years ago. But China, pretty much the entire Asian world, has a very low birth rate, historically low. South Korea, 0.7 to 0.8. Now, the developing world has always had a higher birth rate throughout the modern age, since the Industrial Revolution of the late 1800s. The developed world would typically produce more babies because there wasn't as much access to contraception. You would not have as many women in the workforce. Frankly, there is not quite as much to do other than, you know, in some developing African nation. So while the world birth rate in 1960 was 5 births per woman, in the developed world, the advanced economies, those are known as OECD nations, there were 3.3 births per woman. That has dropped. Most recent year for which we have data is 2022, 1.5 births. This is a major problem. An aging population combined, so you have fewer births, and you also have a much longer life expectancy. I mean, back in 1960, the average lifespan was well shorter than it is today. Now, for the average American female, I believe it's 76, 77 years old. Men, it's like 73, 74, somewhere in that range. And the reason for that is because we have so many drug deaths, we have so many homicides, we have so many suicides. If you can actually avoid those, the life expectancy shoots up to the upper 80s. It's really remarkable how in developed nations you can live a very long time. Basically, if you don't kill yourself, if you don't get addicted to drugs, if you don't get shot and killed, you don't get in a car accident, some of the things that will kill people, it drives down the average significantly because you get enough 30-year-olds who are dying. Obviously, that offsets the number of 85-year-olds. You understand how statistics work. When you have an aging workforce, you have fewer workers per retired person. Those retired persons, thanks to Medicare and Social Security, are drawing their incomes, or at least a significant portion of their income, if they didn't save and they don't have a big nest egg to draw from in their retirement years. you have fewer workers per retired person. That puts a tremendous strain on social welfare states, on social, I shouldn't say welfare states, on social programs. This also tends to slow economic growth because more of a country's GDP is required to go into sustaining the older population. You also have to put in way more in the healthcare industry. You don't get growth industries. And when fewer people are being born, you have the potential for fewer entrepreneurs, fewer people who are going to create things that dramatically explode a nation's economy. And this is where the left comes in. They say, look, this is unsustainable. We need to import people from the nations that are having a lot of children. Look, we don't have a workforce that is able to keep up with the demands of the modern world. Now, that may be partially true, but not entirely. AI is going to completely, and smart robotic systems, as well as supercomputing, is in large measure going to dramatically reduce the need, if not eliminate the need altogether, for huge sectors of employment that we have now. We are, folks, everybody is talking about AI and all of this. Do not forget what Elon Musk and a number of other electronic robotic companies are doing. Humanoid robotics are designed to take the place of many workers who are doing jobs that otherwise human beings are doing. And folks, the first ones that are going to go, I hate to say it because I love truckers. I've got a number of trucker friends. Good friend of mine is a trucker. He drives for Lyft as well. I always tell him, I'm like, dude, you got to get something else going, because Waymo, I was talking about Austin, Texas in the last segment or a couple of segments ago. Waymo is the Google. It's outfitted with Google AI and its self-driving technology, and it'll come pick you up through Uber or Lyft, and there's no driver. It's just a self-driving car. That's the future. Heck, that's the present. And more cities are going to, right now it's basically a beta testing program to have Waymos on the streets to see how artificial intelligence and self-driving cars do with other human drivers on the road. The issue with the self-driving cars is not how they do. They react just fine. They have trouble dealing with the unpredictability of human drivers. You know, some woman who's doing her nails behind the wheel, some guy who has a coffee in one hand and is on his phone in the other and driving with his knees. I mean, that's the sort of, and then all of a sudden you're swerving into the Waymo. They have a difficult time, or at least not quite as easy a time as maybe a human being with better reaction time reacting to something that's just totally unexpected. That said, this is going to be the norm. Self-driving cars are going to be the norm, I'm going to say, within 5 to 7 years. Yeah, I'm seeing that producer Eric is. We may have to back time this last break, Eric, because this is an important point. That what have we had a big issue with? Illegal immigrant truck drivers being unable to read traffic signs and causing all manner of horrible crashes. What happens if they're, and we're told, well, Americans aren't signing up to be truck drivers. Well, what happens if you don't need human beings at all? Long before we have human beings transported by cars, we are going to have merchandise transported by self-driving vehicles, because there's really no risk to anybody inside the vehicle. Sure, there's a risk that if the truck crashes into a family of 4, that obviously would be devastating, but you don't have that same risk of somebody in a car with no driver. So you can literally see, possibly within a year or two, you're going to see significant numbers of truck drivers losing their jobs to machines. When we're talking about Governor Evers, well, you wouldn't have an economy in Wisconsin because if we don't have illegals, there's nobody there to milk the cows. How can you call yourself the dairy state? That's a notorious quote. We replay it all the time. How can you call yourself the dairy state if you don't have anybody there to milk the cows? Who says you need somebody there to milk the cows? Who says in 3 to 4 years, you don't have a machine milking the cows entirely. And yes, there are cow milking machines, but let's say there's not humanoid robots doing a great deal of the farming chores. This is sort of the issue here. But leftists say, well, we need to import these people because our birth rates are so low that we just aren't going to be able to replace the population. So we're going to replace the population that would otherwise be born with people are coming into the country. Oh, no, 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 no. You can't say that. That is the supposedly racist great replacement theory. Well, it's literally what Democrats have been saying for years. And this is why I suspect they are fighting tooth and nail, including very likely shutting down the government at midnight because they don't want any sort of border enforcement at all. They don't want any sort of immigration enforcement. They don't want deportations. They don't want a closed border. How else do you explain the fact that we could have shut down the border any damn well time we pleased during the Biden administration? It just refused. Trump had the magic formula. He was just able to do it in a week. Give me a break. We'll discuss that coming up after the top of the hour right here on the Dan O'Donnell Show.
From the Lynch Truck Center in Waterford, Total Traffic Center.
Westbound on 894 got delays from the Mitchell interchange over to 60th. Southbound 894 slow in pockets. Greenfield down to the Hale interchange, then eastbound to 76th. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest Total Traffic.
This report is sponsored by Tap In Golf in Waukesha and Sussex.
Looking for the ultimate sports bar experience? Tap In Golf Bar in Waukesha and Sussex has you covered. Catch every game, play golf on cutting-edge simulators, or simply relax with a drink. For more, go to tapingolfbar.com.
Get your rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval to buy at accunet.com.
You understand the premise?
Yes, the premise is a promise.
And the promise is for our big bank
to be like First American Bank.
No. We promise to try and be like First American Bank.
What?
It's impossible for us to be like First American Bank. They have the best loan deals in town.
Really?
Really. And First American Bank gives you a First American Bank loan specialist who works with you every step of the way.
No.
Yes.
So no shuffling them around from department to department, person to person?
Just a First American Bank specialist to make the loan process quick, easy, and smooth.
So First American Bank can do everything a big bank like us can do and more.
Yeah, makes me nauseous too.
Ooh, better idea. We just promised to be more like First American Bank. I mean, is more or is less than more still more?
Oh.
We'll fool everyone.
Yeah, love it.
Thank you.
First American Bank, the bank that does more for your money. Visit firstambank.com or call us at 262-577-2400. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hi, it's Rob Radisky here, a veteran designer at Wisconsin Kitchen Mart, and we're inviting you to come take a look at the fully built kitchens and baths in our sprawling 18,000 square foot showroom. It's truly one of a kind, and while showcasing the special attention to detail we put into our work as designers, this enormous showroom gives you the opportunity to envision real possibilities for your home. For almost 75 years, the dedicated team at Wisconsin Kitchen Mart has created kitchen and bathroom remodels that have set us apart as the best. We create kitchens that balance style and efficiency. The same goes for bathrooms too. See the full displays in our 18,000 square foot showroom. With our wide selection of flooring, Play-Doh custom cabinetry, appliances, and countertops, you'll get everything you need in one spot. For a free consult and more info, visit wisconsinkitchenmart.com or visit our showroom to see for yourself. Higher design, higher style, higher Wisconsin Kitchen Mart.
Hey, Dan O'Donnell, for my friends at Current Electric, they'd like to thank Southeast Wisconsin for making them the #1 choice in same-day electrical services. Do you know the reason so many people choose Current Electric? It's trust. And it's that simple. People trust the Current Electric electricians that come into their homes and perform same-day electrical service and repairs and have for over 40 years. Give the superheroes from Current Electric a chance to earn your trust. You won't be sorry. Go to callcurrent.com.
Attention business owners. Are you thinking about selling your business? If so, contact Lake Country Advisors. Our experienced team of M&A advisors will meet with you face-to-face. We'll guide you through the process, we'll value your company, and we'll keep everything 100% confidential. So whether you're considering selling now or in the future, visit lakecountryadvisors.com and schedule your free consultation today. Local, experienced, trusted. We are Lake Country Advisors.
I'm Thomas Rozecki at Central Office Systems. Implementing technology diligence saves businesses money, making technology profitable.
Chris Rozecki here. Seamlessly reliable technology is a competitive advantage for your business operations.
Flawlessly integrated IT, phone, email, software, data storage, data security backed by Central Office's North American Help Desk is smart business operations.
Central Office IT support answers your employees' calls in 1 minute. If your issue can't be resolved immediately by phone, Central Office dispatches live local technical experts.
Central Office IT Managed Services secure your information, technology, and data. Our camera systems clearly document faces, read license plates, send alerts when movement, heat, or smoke are viewed.
Central Office smart camera systems combined with individual entry access from HID card, key fob, or smartphones limited to certain days or time periods secure your property.
Your company can afford Fortune 500 class IT system service and support with Central Office.
Converting IT risk and liability into assets, centralofficesystems.com.
You love her twice as much today as the day you married her, right?
Welcome to Kessler's.
This is what matters. This is beyond X's and O's. This is the difference mutual respect makes. This is what character looks like. This is what defines us in Wisconsin. This is sportsmanship. School sports. It's not the outcome that matters most, but the way the games are played. This message presented by the Wisconsin Interscholastic Athletic Association and the Wisconsin Athletic Directors Association.
All programs on News Talk 1130 WISN are broadcast through the Annex Wealth Management Studios. Annex Wealth Management. Know the difference. Stay informed all day, every day on News Talk 1130 WISN. Milwaukee, an iHeartRadio station. Guaranteed human.
Good afternoon. I'm Sean Maloney. Donald Trump's border czar Tom Homan said today the administration could reduce the number of immigration enforcement officers in Minnesota, but only if state and local officials cooperate. After months of meetings and concerns from residents in the DeForest area, a big data center project has officially been scrapped. On Wednesday, QTS announced that now is not the right time for their proposed project to move forward in the area. Many locals cited worries of the environmental impact and decreasing property values. In business news, the Dow was up nearly 56 points today. The S&P 500 down 9 points, and the NASDAQ down 172 points. Checking the Holiday Automotive Final Act Sports Scoreboard, the Bucks look to get back into the win column tonight against Washington. From the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin News Center, I'm Sean Maloney on Wisconsin's most listened to radio station, News Talk 1130 WISN.
Here's the latest forecast presented by AdventKnows.com from the Fox 6 weather experts.
Increasing clouds tonight with temperatures dropping into the single digits. Snow is possible along the lake on Friday with an inch or two of accumulation possible at this time. Temperatures reach into the teens on Friday, then 20s over the weekend. I'm Fox 6 meteorologist Stephanie Barrichello.
This report is sponsored by King's Hawaiian Sliders. Nothing brings friends and family together on game day like delicious King's Hawaiian Sliders. Bring them to the big game table and be the real MVP. Pick some up this weekend in the bakery or deli section of your local store. Football and King's Irresistible Hawaiian Sliders. There's nothing like it.
Hi, I'm Ashley, a provider at Ortho ASAP and mom of 3 active kids. Our Ortho ASAP walk-in clinic is a perfect place for busy families like mine. Whether it's a sprain, strain, or more serious injury, we're here to provide immediate and specialized care. With on-site X-ray and MRI, we make it convenient and quick. Trust us to get your kids back in the game. Visit us at Brookfield or Pewaukee or online at orthowisconsin.com.
Shop Meijer and bring more good to game day with Buy 5, Save 5 deals on Watch Party fan favorites. Mix and match and save $5 when you buy 5 or more go-to party items, like select varieties of DiGiorno frozen pizzas and Late July tortilla chips, 24 packs of select Pepsi products, plus deposit where applicable, and Brawny paper towels. The Buy 5, Save 5 deals at Meijer. Now that's the good life. A good deal better. Exclusions apply. See all deals in the Meijer app.
We know that the people of Milwaukee are hard workers, that they're tough. But even the toughest among us need help after a serious accident. If you've been injured, call Gruber Law Offices today. One call, that's all.
Let me share Brian's story. He's in Alabama, and he wrote in, he said, Glenn, after taking Relief Factor for just 3 weeks, at least 90% of my pain is gone. My pain had started to limit me at work and at home, and I am amazed at the relief that I have gotten. Those are Brian's own words, and they speak volumes about what Relief Factor can do. And I've seen that kind of transformation in myself, and hearing Brian's experience reinforces why I take endorsing Relief Factor so seriously. Before I started taking Relief Factor myself, I was losing hope that I could ever have a normal life again. My hands were in so much pain. It's created by doctors, a 100% drug-free product using 4 key ingredients. It supports the body's natural inflammatory response. Hundreds of thousands of people have ordered Relief Factor, and like Brian and me, over 2/3 of these people go on to order more month after month. So don't wait. If you're dealing with pain, launch your 3-week quick start and see what Relief Factor can do for you. Call 800-4RELIEF or go to relieffactor.com. Don't wait anymore. Feel what it's like to be out of pain. 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Your clear choice for more. Lisbon Store, Screen and Door.
If you are searching for an island of decency in a sea of media corruption, you're in the right place. Wisconsin's most listened to radio station, News Talk 1130 WISN. We report, you decide. Factual, fair, and balanced coverage. Your exclusive home of Fox News Radio. This is News Talk 1130 WISN.
The Milwaukee Admirals have won 3 games in a row, and this weekend they'll take the road show to Des Moines, Iowa to take on the Iowa Wild.
It comes to center. Here's an empty net. Ben Schaefer. He will score!
Pre-game coverage on Friday night begins at 6:30. Face-off at 7 on Fox Sports 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
Go-Wall Investment Group, now Creative Planning, is a registered investment advisor. Now for your business report from Creative Planning. For informational purposes only, past performance is not indicative of future results.
Good evening. This is Certified Financial Planner Chauncey Weisenfeld with your evening business report. The major averages wavered today, recovering some of the losses from an earlier sell-off amid concerns about tech sparked by Microsoft. The software giant fell 10% after it reported that cloud growth slowed in the fiscal second quarter, causing concern among investors about AI spending. On a positive note, shares of Meta Platforms jumped over 10% after the social media giant posted fourth quarter earnings that came in above estimates and called for first quarter sales to range from $53.5 to $56.5 billion, well above analysts' call for $51.4 billion. At the close, the Dow was up 56 points to 49,071. The Nasdaq was down 172 points, and the S&P was down 9 points. From Creative Planning, I'm Chauncey Weisenfeld.
Welcome back to the Dan O'Donnell Show. 5 o'clock hour starts right now, and it starts with a chance for you to win $1,000. In just a second, we will give you this hour's word in the Cold Hard Cash Contest. First, some stories that we've been following this afternoon. President Trump holding a cabinet meeting today, talking tough on Iran, but also opening up Venezuela's airspace following the deposition and arrest of former dictator Nicolas Maduro.
This has been, I think, and a lot of people say it, the most successful year of any administration in American history. First year, there's never been a first year like this, including
the president touting his first-year agenda and instructing Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy to open up the skies over Venezuela.
I've instructed Sean Duffy and everybody else concerned, including the military, that if you would, by the end of today, I'd like you to have the airspace over Venezuela. Planes can go to Venezuela opened up. Okay?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Now, there is some speculation, thanks to an article in Politico today, that Sean Duffy may be on his way out as Transportation Secretary. The article cites, of course, a number of anonymous sources who believe that Trump feels that Duffy is in over his head and has been ineffectual as Transportation Secretary. That doesn't seem to jibe with the facts on the ground. Trump also just gave the endorsement for the 6th Congressional District Republican primary to Duffy's son-in-law, Michael Alfonso. Stories we've been covering here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. Whitman Middle School parents are upset after teachers have been encouraging anti-ICE letters being written by students. They also showed video of Alex Pretti being shot and killed. New information about Pretti, by the way. Video from January 16th shows that he was engaged in violent encounters with ICE agents about 11 days before he was, in fact, shot to death. And at an ICE Out protest, a student walkout at Whitefish Bay High School, we actually found a swastika sign in the background of a student shot that appeared on the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel's Instagram page. We have no idea. Is it a statement that ICE are Nazis? Is a kid messing with the protesters? It is, after all, in the back. It is, of course, highly inappropriate. Cold hard cash contest word this hour. Friend, F-R-I-E-N-D, friend. You have got until 5:55 to go to our website and enter the keyword friend to enter the contest for this hour. Your entry is picked at random. You will be our best friend. I guarantee it, because we will give you $1,000 just for listening to us and going to our website and entering a word. 414-799-1130 is our adventknows.com talk and text line if you'd like to join the show. Number of people texting in for suggestions on where to send the ICE verifier thugs that Voces de la Frontera has been organizing. I actually got an email that I took rather seriously. And, you know, this woman said, hey, Dan, I love the idea of sending ICE verifiers, like calling up and just saying, hey, I think I saw ICE in the middle of the woods. But she said, Dan, you got to be careful. Sending these nutsos to random, like, real businesses, that's probably not something you should be doing, because there could be confrontations there. Look, folks, I don't actually think that ICE verifiers are going to be going out. I believe this to be an illegal interference in federal law enforcement. I believe the very concept of going out to try to verify that ICE is in a neighborhood and then warning the targets of a valid warrant that, hey, the law is coming, you better get out of there, that's obstruction of federal process. That is attempting to conceal somebody from arrest. So it's my hope that enough people call this hotline that it's just clogged and that it's useless. I'll be completely and totally upfront about it. I believe that it's being used to facilitate a crime. I think it's shameful that you had, was it Channel 4? Today's TMJ4 had Christine Newman Ortiz, who's the executive director of Voces de la Frontera, out there, and she had the gall to say, well, it is so damaging, it is so dangerous when we have unverified rumors, and we don't want these unverified rumors because it causes harm to the community. That's why you should call up our ICE verifier hotline. What the hell do you think it does to law enforcement agents when you've got an army of left-wing crazies on speed dial ready to go out wherever they are? Can we get the audio of Alex Pretti and his violent confrontation on January 13th? Producer Eric, can we pop that up there? All right, thank you very much. This is what happens when you get some ICE verifiers out in the field to just see what ICE is doing, okay? Alex Pretti is an ICE verifier. That's what happens. It's not just dangerous for ICE agents. Alex Pretti died because he was whipped into a frenzy. I see him as ultimately a very tragic figure. He's whipped into a frenzy by Tim Walz and Jacob Fry and most likely some of the people that he's seeing on TikTok. He's a left-wing do-gooder. He goes into nursing. He wants to help people. He's clearly got some mental instability problems. And he sees ICE as being, well, they're Nazis. They're Nazis. They're in unmarked vans. They're grabbing people up off the streets. That is a direct quote from Tim Walz. They're taking Minnesota's Anne Frank. Another quote from Tim Walz. He said, somewhere there is a little girl hiding in Minneapolis who, like Anne Frank, is going to write the book about what happened here. You and I can laugh about this because it's so stupid. Someone like Alex Pretti, who has violent revenge fantasies, and all I can think of is the line of from Hamilton. Head full of fantasies of dying like a martyr. Dying is easy, young man. Living is harder. That was Alex Pretti. Head full of fantasies of being a martyr for the cause of what? Standing up for child rapists and murderers that ICE is going to deport? So they're not going after the Mexican Anne Frank. They're not going after Anita Franco. They're going after the worst of the worst. But you've got crazies who believe that that's not true. And what's rather amazing to me, and this again, I will go back. I'm gonna call it Mrs. O'Donnell theory, because my wife, this is like her overarching theory of everything. It is that we do not, as left and right in this country, we do not anymore have any sort of common ground. Because the left sees a completely different algorithm on news that is curated, often without any human involvement whatsoever, specifically for them. And because there is such a concerted effort on the left to hide, you can actually see in real time what it was that the Soviets were doing for so many decades to their people, just deliberately hiding true things that reflect poorly on the Soviets. That's exactly what's going on now. We have a modern day Pravda in our traditional and social media. In fact, I have been inundated with people on my Facebook wall saying the video of Alex Pretti, you just heard it. There are multiple angles of him spitting on a car, of him kicking out a tail light. They're saying, well, that's AI. That's AI. The BBC published it. The British Broadcasting Corporation. It's about one of the most left-wing organizations in the world. It's not AI. I'm sorry, your hero is actually a sociopath. Democrats now are going to shut down the government because they don't want ICE funded. You know what the problem with this is? You talk about these people just having no idea about what's going on. Even Tammy Ball, do you know ICE is funded through 2029, fully funded? This DHS appropriation bill, it would go to other parts of the Department of Homeland Security. And Tammy Baldwin is repeatedly voting to filibuster the basically, it's a procedural vote, so they can't move forward. And I don't want to get into my thoughts about the filibuster. It, yes, absolutely does need to be abolished in its current form. I want to go back to how we used to do the filibuster, where you can't have a virtual filibuster. You actually need to have someone like Mr. Smith Goes to Washington standing and talking, and as soon as they collapse from exhaustion, all right, filibuster is over. The filibuster was never designed to permanently stop legislation or to force an artificial 60-vote threshold. There's literally nothing in the Constitution or nothing in federal law. This is some Senate rule. So what happens is they went to what's known as a two-track system, where I want you to think of bills that go before the Senate as like train cars on a track, okay? And let's say the ICE appropriations bill or DHS appropriations bill is the lead car on the track. In the old days, if you would filibuster the ICE bill, every other car on the track would be stopped. Now, you just move the ICE bill to a separate track, a two-track legislation, and all the other cars. So you don't even need to filibuster. You just say, I'm going to filibuster, and we just move right on to the next bill. The other one dies. Well, it's a de facto way to kill a bill that was never actually contemplated by the Constitution of the United States, the framers, or any sort of federal law. Why is it, though, that Democrats are working so hard in order to get as many illegals into this country and keep them there? There can really be no doubt. I mean, the first 2 weeks of the Trump administration pretty much proves that the last 4 years of the Biden administration was intentional. How else do you shut down the border in 2 weeks? After 4 years of saying, well, there's nothing we can do. We just have to have a porous border. We need as many people as humanly possible just waltzing right in. We did not need a new bill. We did not need new laws. We did not need new anything, just a new president. President Trump proved it. Why are they fighting so hard? It's because their political survival depends on it. And it all has to do with the census. Folks, the Center for Immigration Studies found 2 years ago, 2024, that both legal and illegal immigrants in the 2020 census shifted 17 House seats and thus 17 Electoral College votes, leading to a net gain of 14 seats for Democrat-leaning states. 10 seats and 10 electoral votes were lost by Republican states, 4 by battleground states. And because all of the battlegrounds went to Republicans, pretty much all 14 went to Republican states. This is not insignificant. In fact, this is massive. Not only that, in the 2022 midterms, National Review used the exact same census data to find that districts with high non-citizen populations, 1 in 5 adults, overwhelmingly voted for Democrats in 2022. 20 of 24 such districts went Democrat. That's interesting. Not only this, why is it that Democrats constantly are talking about a pathway to citizenship? I call it a pathway to voting. Public Policy Institute of California found 56% of naturalized citizen voters in that state registered as Democrats, compared to 14% as Republicans. It is widely believed that immigrants vote overwhelmingly Democratic. Now, that might have shifted. A whole lot of things did shift in 2024, not necessarily because of Trump, but because, as I very strongly suspect, the Biden administration was historically awful. But even if there is no pathway to citizenship, even if no illegal immigrants ever cast a vote, or no non-citizen immigrants who are legally barred from voting, got to be a citizen, ever cast a vote, their mere presence in this country, as evidenced by the fact that Democrats got 14 House seats and 14 electoral votes that they shouldn't have gotten, because in the census we count Democrats and Republicans and citizens and non-citizens alike. Now, as I reported earlier this week, based on brand new census data just out a couple of days ago, the American Redistricting Project projects that the 2030 census is going to be absolutely devastating for Democrats. Now, it was widely believed, and in fact, the Census Bureau acknowledged, because the census was conducted during COVID-19, the reason that Democrats got so big of an advantage was because there was a dramatic overcount, or an overcount, an overestimate of minority citizens, and it was just completely a mess. So southern states were essentially screwed, and northern states were the beneficiaries. Well, that's going to self-correct in 2030. Not only that, people are just fleeing blue states in record numbers. California is going to lose 4 electoral votes and 4 congressional representatives. Illinois, Minnesota, New York, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, and yes, us here in Wisconsin, we are all projected to lose 1 seat each. That is 11 House seats. All of those are going to go to states that went for President Trump in 2024. 4 House seats go to Texas, 2 go to Florida, 1 each to Arizona, Georgia, Idaho, North Carolina, and Utah. This means in 2032, Republicans can win the White House without needing any one of the blue wall states, Wisconsin, Michigan, or Pennsylvania. All they need to do is to keep all of the states that they traditionally win and keep the increasingly red Georgia, North Carolina, and Arizona. It is a much easier path for Republicans throughout the next decade. Democrats recognize this, and this is why throughout the Biden administration, not only were they importing new people by the millions, they were shuffling them around, coincidentally enough, to states that have sanctuary jurisdictions and states that might otherwise lose a whole ton of population and thus representation in the 2030 census. We now go to the phones and talk with Mike in Cedarburg. You're on the Dan O'Donnell Show. What's going on, sir?
I just want to offer you a little different perspective, Dan. I have a child. She lives in Minnesota, in Minneapolis. And she's a wonderful girl, super liberal. I can't stand it, but you know what? I love her, and I have to listen to her. And she's concerned, and rightfully so. She has friends that are immigrants. They're legal, but they are picking up people and detaining them. And this isn't a Democrats bad, Republicans good. She's not defending the murderers. She's not defending the thieves, the criminals. She's defending her friends. And I just see all this hate going both ways. You voted for Trump. You're a jerk. You're a horrible person. But it's not that way. I have friends that are Democrats. We can't talk about this stuff. And I think,
and that's one of the big issues. That's one of the big issues. And I'm far be it from me to discount your daughter's lived experience, but that frankly is a terrible argument. That it's an argument based on a tiny representative sample. Well, she knows a couple of people who were detained who are citizens. Well, okay, were they actively resisting arrest? Were they caught up in a sweep and then subsequently released? The reality is, unfortunately, Mike, and please don't. I'm not trying to jump down your throat. Please do not misinterpret.
No, I get it.
You know what I'm saying?
Dan,
like it can't undo.
I agree with you. But now this is where it gets weird. I agree with you 100%, and I've tried to talk with her, and it doesn't work. The reason it doesn't work is because of something you've said. The mayor, the governor are telling them different. They're recruiting these people into these activities. Their mind has been twisted. I consider it brainwashing, but they're good people, and they're believing everything that has been said to them.
So it's not.
It's unfortunate.
So it's not that, okay, hey, this person who is a naturalized citizen was in the vicinity of where a known, let's say, illegal drug trafficker who was the target of the sting. That actually does happen. And these people get detained. You got to sort them out. Oftentimes when they're arrested, it's because they're violently resisting, they're obstructing, they're running, they're doing something, right? Yes, if you have other illegals who are not criminals, who are with a target of a raid, and they are taken into custody, this often happens when you raid workplaces and things like that, they will be deported because unlawful entry into the United States is a crime and it is a deportable offense. In terms of talking to your daughter, though, I'm so glad you raised this point, though, Mike. So glad. It is because, again, you and your daughter are not, you're not seeing the same reality, right? What you are seeing is, okay, here is the objective reality. ICE is enforcing immigration laws. We have never before had massive, widespread violence and rioting against the lawful enforcement of immigration law. And what I would actually do, I don't have the stats in front of me right now, Mike, but I would say, hey, to your daughter, I would say, hey, look, I totally get it and I understand it. But I want you to think about this. Why is it that Minnesota accounts for just a tiny number of the deportation actions in this country? Do you know there were did you know there was an ICE surge in Maine? For goodness sakes, it stopped now, but there was an ICE surge in Maine. There's been one in Florida. There's been one in Texas for some time now. Why are there not these violent clashes? It's because people aren't being radicalized. I would also look up the statistics, Mike, on how many people were deported by Bill Clinton, George W. Bush.
I already have. I've done that. Obama. I mean, more people died under Obama. Bush was more people died under ICE. Bush was the number one. Obama was number two. Now, Dan, still, this is really important here because I'm living this. You're touting facts. I agree with you.
Yeah.
My daughter is a young liberal teacher in a liberal area with all her friends. These facts are not going to get through
because it's just emotion.
The TV, the social media. And there is, again, you pointed it out. There is a shred of truth. There are people, and I know someone went into someone's work, picked somebody up, detained them. They were legal, but they were gone for days. Yeah. So there are shreds of things that are there. If you look at that video closely, what happened, that gun was pulled away. And that second shooting.
What I would do on that score, Mike, is, I mean, if she wants to watch my entire 10-minute debunking video, that would be what it doesn't matter. When they establish gun, he had a gun. He is reaching into his waistband very quickly, whether or not the gun was still there, so long as there's a reasonable belief of death or great bodily harm, it is a justified shooting. But I totally see what you're saying. I think, Mike, if I may, as a father myself, you have to cut all ties with her. I'm sorry. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah,
totally kidding.
That's the problem. She doesn't want to talk with me.
That sucks, man. It really does. Like, honestly, like from one dad to another. And, mine's 11 and, she doesn't want to talk to me when I turn off, Charlie XCX or Taylor Swift or something like that off the radio because I want to listen to, Clay and Buck. But it is very difficult. And this is sort of what my wife has been talking about. I'm talking about the Mrs. O'Donnell theory, where it's like your daughter just consumes a completely different reality than you do. And it's a reality that isn't actually based in fact, but rather based in liberal narratives. For example, would she have ever seen the video of Alex Pretti violently resisting and spitting on the ICE agents' cars a week and a half before he was killed and kicking out the taillight? No. She would have never seen that.
Even if she did, Dan, she wouldn't
believe
care.
it. She'd be one of the ones, like in my Facebook page, in my Facebook comment section. They say it's AI. It's AI. I mean, I've never seen. You know what this is, Mike? It's called cognitive dissonance. You and I both have it. Our brains actively reject information that contradicts our worldview. And it's very, very difficult. I mean, the best thing I can tell you, Mike, is to keep talking, keep trying. Ultimately, though, it's your daughter. You love her. There is way more to talk about than Alex Pretti and Minnesota. Talk about that. Remember how much you love her. I know she will always love her dad. And folks, honestly, to all people who have, in their family, and I know it's especially difficult with kids who go off to college and come back libs. I'm taking a wild guess. My high school senior is probably not. You should hear him talk about some of this stuff. It's actually Man, it's like talking to me as an 18-year-old, only I was nowhere near as well versed about the body politic. My 15-year-old son, we were on the way to a soccer game, and he's just ripping on the left and on people on TikTok because, do you remember before the Alex Pretti shooting, we were talking about this last week, when they made up the fact they're like, ICE arrested a 5-year-old. My 15-year-old was like, this is insane. Like, this is so easily debunked. So I don't think I have to worry about them. But with respect to kids who don't share your political beliefs, trust me, at some point, most of them come around when they start seeing how much money vanishes out of their paycheck and what Democrats do with the money that they take. Great call, Mike, and thank you so much for it.
From the Lynch Buick GMC of West Bend Total Traffic Center.
Southbound on 4194 past Layton, you got a crash taking out both shoulders. 94 westbound at 121st, a stalled vehicle off to the right shoulder. Been there most of the afternoon, not causing a delay. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest Total Traffic.
This report is sponsored by SuperSure.
Do you own a small business? You need to hear this. A seismic shift is coming. It's time to get super sure. Not kind of sure, not pretty sure, not a little sure, but super sure. The seismic shift is coming. Super sure, coming soon.
When I decided to remodel my kitchen, it was important to see more than just designs and drawings. Wisconsin Kitchen Mart made it easy, with more fully built kitchen displays than anywhere else. The showroom made all the difference when making important design decisions. Along with their talented team of designers, decorators, and installers, my dream kitchen came to life.
For almost 75 years, our team at Wisconsin Kitchen Mart has created kitchen and bathroom remodels that set us apart from the rest. We understand that your kitchen must be a well-oiled machine so you enjoy using it. And don't forget, bathrooms too. That's why we offer quality design that incorporates the existing space in your home to enhance the style. Come see our full displays in our 18,000 square foot showroom, and with our wide selection of flooring, Play-Doh custom cabinetry, appliances, and countertops, you can get everything you need in one place. Higher design, higher style, higher Wisconsin Kitchen Mart. Visit wisconsinkitchenmart.com for more information and a free consultation.
How would you like to experience Europe the way it's meant to be seen by river? Hey, it's Ben. And this August, please join me and other WISN listeners on an unforgettable Danube River cruise from Munich to Budapest. We'll travel through historic Germany and Austria, and we'll end our trip in the heart of Hungary, where culture, tradition, and history still matter. We'll visit charming riverside towns, historic cities, and iconic landmarks, all while enjoying the comfort of a first-class river ship with your meals and drinks included. You unpack once and then simply enjoy the top-tier accommodations. Dining and drinks and tips are all included. You just sit back and enjoy the breathtaking scenery all along the way. No stress, no rushing, just timeless Europe, me, and other WISN listeners. There are just a few spots left for this August trip, so call Cruise and Tour right now at 800-383-3131 or find them online at cruise-tour.com today.
For more information about contests on News Talk 1130 WISN, go to newstalk1130.com/rules.
At Advent, we help sleep apnea sufferers avoid the CPAP machine by getting your nose and throat working with our unique Advent approach that you won't find elsewhere.
Make News Talk 1130 WISN your #1 preset on our free iHeartRadio app, powered by Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
Injured?
Remember, one call, that's all.
taking a look at our adventnews.com talk and text line, and yeah, sounds like a lot of people are in Mike's boat. Folks, I'm not there yet. I'm obviously a bit younger than a lot of our listeners, at least that are listening to us on the radio. A lot of you have adult children. My oldest is 18, and we sort of got started a little younger, although if you think about it, my wife was still getting her master's. I was just out of law school when we had our oldest, and I was 25, 26. She was 24, 25, somewhere in there. And we were thinking, oh my gosh, we're so young. We would have been, throughout the whole of human history, like old parents. It is remarkable, but so we're not there where the kids are. I mean, they do have their own political philosophy. It's not like they're just parroting whatever it is dad says. Heaven knows they don't really listen to me on the radio. But obviously, we've been talking about this stuff in the family and in the home for many, many years. And pretty much everybody in our extended families, my wife's parents, my parents, are very, very conservative. And I can imagine it's got to be difficult because you listen to a show like mine, or Vicky, or Jason, or Ben, or Clay and Buck, and you get objective truth, objective fact. That's what we do. I always say, that's why I say conservative thought, not just talk. It's the truth and nothing but. It's a tour de force of truth. That's what we bill ourselves as. People ask me, they're like, the most condescending question I think I get is, do you really believe those things you say on the radio? What I tell people is, whenever someone asks me that question, to be a jerk, and let's I can see through you right away when you ask that question, is to be a jerk. I say, I don't believe anything. The only thing I say are things I can prove. Do you do likewise? I'm guessing you don't. You just sort of regurgitate whatever you sort of hear on MS Now or on some TikTok by someone screeching about ICE being Nazis. But appeals to emotion and the logical fallacy that our listener Mike's daughter was engaged in is it's an appeal to, it's an anecdote. It's anecdotal evidence is the absolute, it's not actually evidence at all. So, for example, I had a devil of a time getting a prescription filled at Walgreens. Okay, it was terrible time. It was not their fault. It was a manufacturer's coupon, and it was just some snafu. We had to actually call the manufacturer, who said it happens all the time. It's just one of those things. I was at Walgreens for something like 3 straight days trying to get this fixed. If I said, Walgreens is a terrible pharmacy because of this, well, Walgreens has, I was watching the other people behind me in line. They had no issues whatsoever. It was just my prescription. That would be a terrible argument because it would be easily disproven. That's objective reality. But to me, I could say, well, to me, Walgreens is the, just so we're clear, I'm in Walgreens constantly. I love Walgreens. I shop at Walgreens all the freaking time. It's so convenient. I love it. But you see how reality can shift based on perspective. So it's essentially a fallacy. It's arguing from personal experience that might or might not be relevant. And you are one person in a nation of 340 million, but it doesn't matter. This is why the left always talks about, well, my truth. I am living my truth. Great. I have my truth. You have your truth. There is also the truth. And the truth is that the opinion, that the inflammatory rhetoric that is being spewed by people who would know better is especially effective on people who don't have a grounding in actual fact. Like, if I were to tell our listener's daughter or any of your sons or daughters who are left of center, If I were to tell them that 50%, half of America's Border Patrol agents are Hispanic, would they accept that? So Border Patrol is this horrible racist entity against Hispanics, but they hire mostly Hispanics. Just so I'm clear. ICE hates Hispanic people, yet a third of ICE is Hispanic. An additional something like 17%, I believe the number is black. You're looking at half of ICE agents are black or Latino. But these are the racist Nazis? How many people how many people on the left would even accept that, or just assume, well, that comes from Dan O'Donnell, he's lying? Once again, that's a fallacy. Well, it's attacking the source. It's argumentum ad hominem. Don't deal with the substance of the argument. And it's got to be tough. I could only imagine how difficult it is arguing with someone who just does not listen to objective reality and just will not accept the facts. Oh, wait, I know exactly what that's like. I have a wife. I'm just kidding, honey. I'm kidding. So if anybody's got like a spare bedroom tonight for me to sleep in, that'd be awesome. We'll be right back here on the Dan O'Donnell Show.
Now, here's traffic from Tri-City National Bank, your hometown bank. Call the Tri-City Total Traffic Tip Line at 414-944-5111.
Southbound on 4194 past Layton, you got a crash taking out both shoulders. 94 westbound at 121st, a stalled vehicle off to the right shoulder. Been there most of the afternoon, not causing a delay. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by SuperSure.
Do you own a small business? You need to hear this. A seismic shift is coming. It's time to get super sure. Not kind of sure, not pretty sure, not a little sure, but super sure. The seismic shift is coming. Super sure, coming soon.
Have you heard? There's a new station in Milwaukee. B93.3 has moved and is now B97.3. Feel good favorites from the 80s to today. Update your car presets and stream us anytime on our free iHeartRadio app.
What can Everlast Structures do for us?
The neighbors had Everlast build a hobby building for them. John said they designed the building so that their camper and boat will fit inside, and enough room inside that his wife has an office space incorporated into the design. They went with a climate control package and have heated concrete floors. There's even a bathroom in their building.
With all that extra space, we can finally get organized.
I'll give Everlast Structures a call right now.
Need more storage, a place for your hobbies, or a year-round climate-controlled utility building? We are Wisconsin's top post-frame builder with over 15 years of experience in the post-frame and residential construction industry. Our expertise lies in designing, supplying, and building your project seamlessly. We listen to our customers, understanding their goals and requirements while thinking about the future. Our post-frame structures are not only built for your current needs, but engineered for tomorrow's evolving demands. Everlast Structures are designed to enhance, built to endure. Call today to start your dream build with Everlast Structures.
Ever wonder what it takes to feel truly wealthy and financially comfortable? Schwab asked Americans that question, and most said at least $2 million. But here's the thing, your number might be different. And that makes sense because your dreams, travel, retirement, and the legacy you want to leave are unique to you. That's why you need advice that's just as personal. The team at Annex Wealth Management is ready to listen and help you build a plan that fits your life. Click the Get Started button at annexwealth.com.
Hey, it's Vicki McKenna for Byrna, the compact kinetic self-defense tool I've been talking about. Byrna is an American success story. It's now ranked number 10 on Forbes' list of most successful small companies. And that's because Byrna talked to real people to solve real people problems with self-defense and personal protection. And Byrna is American first. Byrna is proudly hand-assembled in the United States, right in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And they have tons of options for personal defense and something for everyone in your family, because all Byrnas are easy to use, have no recoil, and the newest Byrna Compact is so small it even fits into a pocket or a purse. Why does it work? Because Byrna fires less lethal kinetic and pepper ammo that can disable a threat even at a distance, giving you time to get to safety. Law enforcement agencies and security companies across the country trust Byrna, so you can too. No background checks, no permits, and it's legal everywhere. Visit Byrna.com today to find the right launcher for your family. That's BYRNA.com.
I'm Ryan Harrison, owner of Ryan Waterproofing, your best choice for restoring your home or commercial foundation and walls. Seal cracks, repair walls, installing new drain tile or sump. Ryan utilizes higher quality materials and process for permanent restoration. High-powered HEPA filters keep your home from filling with dust. You'll recognize your project coordinator and every person on your property as good, hardworking people. Value pricing, free estimates, because praying for drought is overrated. Ryan Waterproofing. Call Ryan.com. That's call RION.com.
Divorce is challenging, but getting a favorable outcome shouldn't be. I'm attorney Tom Grieve with Divergent Family Law. At Divergent Family Law, our experienced attorneys are committed to helping you understand your rights and options. We believe everyone deserves guidance through life's toughest transitions. During our free consultation, we'll give you a clear breakdown of the process and a flat rate quote for representation. Our attorneys will give you an honest assessment of your options based on Wisconsin law and your local judges. They'll help you make informed, confident decisions. You deserve to feel secure, not shortchanged. You may feel pressured to play nice with your spouse, or you may feel like you have no choice but to dig your heels in to fight on every topic. But being fair doesn't mean giving up your fair share. At Divergent Family Law, we're here to protect your future and prioritize what's truly important to you. You can be fair and still get your fair share, or better. Reach out now for a free divorce consultation. Go to divergentfamilylaw.com. That's divergentfamilylaw.com.
The path to the Bay is officially locked in. A rematch of New England and Seattle. And iHeartRadio has your complete football coverage. Dive deep into early takes with the official NFL Podcast Network.
Welcome to NFL Daily.
And go live with Fox Sports Radio to join the conversation.
The two best road teams in the NFL.
Plus, iHeart is the home of the Super Bowl 60 tailgate concert presented by NetApp. Just open the iHeartRadio app and search NFL to dive in.
Injured? Call Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
iHeartRadio is the easy-to-use app for music and radio. Download the free iHeartRadio app today.
No radio handy?
No problem. Listen to WISN's live audio stream 24/7 via the web. Just click on the Listen Online tab at newstalk1130.com.
All right, folks, I know a lot of you are concerned about me. Wife's at violin lessons with the kids. I don't think she heard. I kid because I love. Well, especially after. I always talk about her. She is remarkably insightful, especially when it comes to algorithmic programming, the psychology of news in the digital age, how we get information consumption, all of that. You would think she would have gone to school for sociology or something like that. But no, I got in a little dig about how I'm used to arguing with someone who doesn't go by facts or logic, but rather pure emotion. I have a wife. And I was saying, I'm sleeping on the couch tonight. I'm getting kicked out. She doesn't even need me. She's got the puppy who has graduated to our bed very, very quickly. And, yeah, I'm going to assume I may be kicked out of the bed tomorrow night regardless. Puppy's got to get rabies shots, so I'm assuming she's going to have a big elaborate setup that takes up most of my side of the bed. It is difficult, though. I will admit, talking with, and I've actually got a little introduction into, or at least a little taste. I mean, folks, you would not believe some of the just truly putrid messages that I get on a daily basis. I really should limit Facebook messages to just followers, but I can't resist because I have fun. You know, we do a silly little bit where I read angry emails in a British accent to make them sound classy, but everyone, there is very little substantive arguing of any point that I raise. It's invariably, you are a Nazi, bleep you, all manner of insults. And it really does speak to the fact that the typical persuasion mechanisms that you would think would work on most normal human beings do not work on a whole lot of liberals. And I do believe a big part of that is because they have lost the ability to argue. They have lost the ability to logically process information and then in a manner in which you might be subject to criticism or pushback on your beliefs, present your ideas. This is why, I mean, I guess I'll do it again. I've been challenging pretty openly Madison Congressman Mark Pocat, come on this show. We'll go for a full hour. I mean, I'm the biggest talk show in your city, like in your congressional district. Just come on and debate. Present your ideas. He's not going to do it because he's not able to logically defend. All he can do is insult, obfuscate. And I do believe that a big reason for that is because people exist in an ideological bubble. You can go as a liberal, you can go for months without ever seeing your views challenged just by consuming the media that you consume. Conservatives, we do not have that luxury. You turn on an award show, for goodness sakes, and you're called a Nazi. Dan O'Donnell Show coming right back after this.
Now, here's traffic from Tri-City National Bank, your hometown bank. Call the Tri-City Total Traffic Tip Line at 414-944-5111.
43 southbound tight from Fond du Lac to the Marquette, and then in pockets on 4394 to the KK River Bridge. 4194 southbound slow from the Mitchell to Layton with a crash taking out both shoulders. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Habish, and Rotier.
If you or a loved one is ever hurt in an accident, don't call the first lawyer you happen to see on TV. Instead, call the law firm that's most qualified to handle the complexities of your case. Habish, and Rotier. National reputation, hometown service. Visit Habish.com for more information.
Simplify keeps you safe, warm, and dry. For a free estimate, go to simplifyroofing.com.
Hey, it's Dan O'Donnell, and the new year is kicking off with a bang at the Lynch family of dealerships. If you've been waiting for the perfect time to upgrade your ride, this is it. Your New Year's resolution should be a new car or truck right now. During the New Year sales event, you can lease the brand new Chevy Equinox for just $249 a month plus tax. That's right, $249. Need something tougher? How about 20% off GMC Sierras? Yes, 20% off. And if you've had your eye on a Ram pickup, we've got 0% financing available. But hurry, these deals will not last long. Start the new year in style and savings at Lynch. Find them in McWanago, Burlington, West Bend, or Kenosha. They've got Ford, Chevy, Buick, GMC, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, and a huge selection of Lynch-certified pre-owned vehicles. Find them 24 hours a day at shoplynch.com. The Lynch family of dealerships wishes you a prosperous 2026.
Ross Dental's extremely accurate laser dentistry saves irreplaceable tooth, is painless for most patients with 0 shots or anesthesia. If fear of pain has prohibited you from smiling like you just don't care, Ross Dental is pain-free, judgment-free, cutting-edge dentistry. RossDentalNewBerlin.com.
Attention business owners, if you want to sell your business, then it's time to contact the best business brokerage firm right here in Wisconsin, Lake Country Advisors. Lake Country Advisors offers free consultations where our experienced team will meet with you in person and answer all your questions about how to successfully sell your business. We will cover many things, including our proven process, how we keep things confidential, and we'll even discuss the value of your business, all of this at no cost. You see, at Lake Country Advisors, we believe it's important that you get all the necessary information up front to make an informed decision if now is indeed the right time to sell. And while leveraging value is key, we also understand your legacy is important too. Our customized plans will consider your customers, your employees, your values, and so much more. So visit us today at LakeCountryAdvisors.com and schedule your free consultation. Local, experienced, and trusted, we are Lake Country Advisors.
You wouldn't drive at night with spider webbing cracks and burned out headlights obstructing your vision. Yet you live with an obstructed view of the world through your cracked iPhone display because even thinking about solving the problem causes panic-level stress? Relax. I'm Ryan Sigler at Southeast Wisconsin's #1 traveling therapeutic, SmartTech. We got you. SmartTech brings everything required to repair your iPhone to your home or business at your convenience. You hardly notice the colorful lines and black spots in the middle of your videos, emails, and text, right? After all, you learn how to avoid apps and functions that utilize the areas of your touch display you can't see through or don't work. It's your special skill. I get it, but I promise you will be a little less frustrated every day after SmartTech comes to you, repairs your iPhone screen in 20 minutes or less. A great gift for you or someone you love is a brand new iPhone screen. Optic nerves and information reunited. SmartTechPhoneRepair.com. That's SmartTechPhoneRepair.com.
There's only one store that gives you every possible choice in diamonds.
Welcome to Kessler's.
Dedicated to providing right-minded candor on the issues that matter to you. This is Wisconsin's most listened to radio station. News Talk 1130, WISN.
Take a pause.
The vaquita porpoise in the Gulf of California is a unique predator and considered to be the most endangered mammal in the world. Maybe less than 24 still remain, and no one knows what's going to happen if it's wiped out. They've been getting killed off by illegal fishing, but the Mexican government's been working with the Sea Shepherd Conservation Society to end that. And there's new hope after a few vaquita babies have been spotted.
It's a miracle, these survivors that are here, to see them and find them and get to see them, you know, the mothers and calves swimming in the Northern Gulf. But seeing all the places that they are no longer in the Gulf is a sad thing.
Vaquita researcher Barbara Taylor.
Conservation is it's not entirely about doing science with the animals. It's mainly about changing human behavior.
Take a pause. Jill Nato, Fox News.
Welcome back to the Dan O'Donnell Show. Just enough time to say good night. Hope all of you have a wonderful evening. We are out of time on the program. Back tomorrow. Talk Radio Roulette. How bizarre and a whole lot more fun. Talk to you then here on